Welcome everybody to our meeting today for Tuesday, November 23rd. Before we get started, I just let everyone know, I think most of council and staff are aware, Mayor Martin is away today on some very important business for the township. So we wish him well with his meeting today, and he might be joining us long meeting, so he might be joining us after lunch before we're done. So with that, we'll move right into. Well, the mayor's not here today, so I guess we won't be doing the land acknowledgement. We'll move before we get started. I'd like to remind everyone, please turn off your cell phones or place them on vibrate mode before the meeting starts, so as not to disrupt the meeting. And I'd like to remind all members of council of any of the declaration of pecuniary interest. Please make us aware if that arises when we get to the topic. So with that, first on the agenda there, we've got the minutes from the regular council meeting from November 7th, 2023. Any comments or questions on those minutes for council? If not, if I can get a motion to pass those. Moved by Councillor Doherty, seconded by Councillor Clement. And that's passed. Thank you very much. So move into the public meeting for a zoning bylaw amendment. If I can just get a motion to move into the public meeting, please. Moved by Councillor Doherty, seconded by Councillor Flagler. All in favor? And that's passed. So move into the public meeting and start off by saying this is a statutory public meeting held under section 34 of the Planning Act. The owner applicant is Gord Tucker Cottage Service Inc. The property is described as East Half Lot 30. Concession 10, known municipally as Fire Route 87A, having a property roll number of 153101007666600. Any person may attend the public meeting and or make verbal or written representation either in support of or in opposition to the proposed zoning bylaw amendment. Please keep your video off and microphone muted during the meeting until the chair invites comments regarding a planning matter. If a person or public body does not make an oral submission at the public meeting or make written submissions to the Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen before the proposed zoning bylaw is passed, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of council of the corporation of the Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen to the Ontario Land Tribunal. If a person or public body does not make an oral submission at the public meeting or make written submissions to the Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen before the proposed zoning bylaw amendment is passed, the person or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of an appeal before the Ontario Land Tribunal unless, in the opinion of the tribunal, there are reasonable grounds to add the person or public body as a party. If you wish to be notified of the passing of the zoning bylaw amendment, you must make a written request to the Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen. So presenting our first zoning bylaw amendment today, I believe, is Alicia Ackroyd. So Alicia is on the screen there. Hi, Alicia.
Good morning. Thank you very much. I'm good. Thanks, Mr. Chair. How's everyone today?
Good, thank you.
Good. Well, yes, thank you. And good morning to all the members of public in attendance as well today. As a quick reminder, as the chair said, my name is Alicia Ackroyd, and I am one of the planning consultants to the township with Photon Planning and Design. And as the chair said, this application for zoning bylaw amendment, which is being discussed today, is for property owner Gord Tucker. And the purpose and effect of this application is to present for the consideration and requisite approval of council an amendment to comprehensive zoning bylaw 1995-42 as amended to permit a year-round residence on a fire route. The property is described as East Half Lot 30, Concession 10 on Fire Route 87A, and the roll number is 153101007666600. The property is in the Methuen ward, and it is 1.84 hectares, which is about 4.5 acres. It's zoned both rural and environmental protection, and it is designated shoreline in the township's official plan. And the property has frontage on Jack Lake via a wetland on the property. As of right, a seasonal dwelling could be built here today with no amendments to the zoning bylaw, but we are having an amendment come forward because there is a request to permit a permanent dwelling on the site rather than a seasonal one. So that's sort of the crux of the application today. And the size of the property, being about 4.5 acres, is large enough that all of the performance standards of the bylaw, both the general provisions and the provisions for the rural zone where the development is proposed, all of those standards can be met, including the 30-meter setback to the high water mark that's associated with the wetlands and with Jack Lake. The one-story single detached dwelling is proposed to be 135 square meters, and that's about 1,452 square feet. And the entirety of the development, inclusive of both the decks proposed and the septic system, will be set back more than that required 30 meters to the high water mark, wetlands, and environmental protection lands that are on the site. There was an addendum added to the agenda, so I just wanted to address that, and that is to include a recommendation for a holding zone that would be included as part of any approved zoning bylaw amendment for this site, and that would ensure that a road agreement be enacted between the applicant and the township. Because the site is on a private road and a permanent year-round residence is being proposed, a road agreement is required to ensure that the applicant is aware that the road is not serviced municipally year-round. So that's just to protect both the applicant and the township. And once that road agreement is in effect, the holding symbol can then be lifted from the property. Following our review and assessment of the application within the context of the relevant land use planning policies, it is our opinion that the subject application conforms to the growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe, the County of Peterborough official plan, the Township official plan, and it is consistent with the provincial policy statement. Public notice was posted on the site and mailed to surrounding property owners in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act. And it is my conclusion and recommendation that this application be approved with the addendum for the holding zone. And I am happy to answer any questions from both council members and members of the public in attendance and online today as well. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Alicia. Thank you very much. So first of all, I'll call 3 times. Is there anyone in person or online in opposition of this application? Second time, anyone in person or online? Oh, there's. So,
yeah, I don't agree with this. This is Jeff Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't agree with this. Neither does my neighbor that's beside me. I'm at 62 Fire Road. He's at 62 and I'm at 64. I could read something that Peter put together that would pretty well sum up our feelings about this matter. So let me just go over and see if I can get this. Oh, what am I doing here?
I have it in front of me, Jeff, if you want me to read it. It's Ilona.
Oh, okay, sure. Why don't you read it?
Okay. Hi, I'm Ilona Maziarchik at 87E, so further down the road. Peter Benelli wrote, he's wished to register his opinion on the above. He finds the proposal not only inappropriate, but poorly advised. Peter Benelli has been on the lake for 60 years and was preceded by family for a number of years before that. The area in question not only wants to take away land designated as environmentally protected, but also threatens the watershed and the ecosystem as realized in the wetlands therein, including the animal habitat and forest lands. A lot of clear cutting has already taken place, as well as swamp ecosystem wetlands being bulldozed and backfilled in an area that should be protected. As Mr. Ford recently found out, the Premier. The same situation occurred across the bay, which somehow permitted the creation of Jack Lake Estates on land that was to be left undeveloped in perpetuity, and we now see the current owners building structures down by the water's edge, which is not supposed to be allowed. I fear the same will occur behind our properties. thereby ruining not only the environment, damaging or destroying animal habitat and flora, as well as adversely affecting generational properties that have existed since the 1940s and 50s. Although Peter Benelli could not attend this meeting, and he only found out about it this afternoon and missed the deadline, Mr. Jeff Jones has his proxy. And as we discussed at some length, he knows my thoughts on the issue. I believe this bylaw will have a disastrous effect on the area as a whole and should not be allowed to go forward, despite the ridiculous claim that it somehow created more housing, as if $1 million home in a swamp could ever achieve anything short of ruining the environment by negatively impacting forests, wetlands, and animals who depend upon it. Thank you for your time in considering this issue.
Thank you very much for that. I believe that was a letter that was submitted to us by Mr. Benelli. Am I
Correct.
Okay, thank you for that. So I've called twice now. If anyone wishing to speak in opposition, so I'll make it third and final time. Anyone in present or online wishing to speak in opposition of this application? Hearing none, I'll move. Is there anyone present or online wishing to speak in favor of the application? Yep, sir, your name?
I'm Gordon Tucker.
And address?
Jack's Lake.
Oh, sorry, okay.
Actually,
Okay,
I
go ahead.
own the property. I just proposed to put one cottage on the property. It's 4.5 acres of land. It's probably well over 3 acres of land there. Aria was there yesterday. We walked in. It's high and dry where I'm putting the cottage. It's 240 feet from the wetland on the one side, well over 100 on the other, and 100 feet from each road. So it's not causing any problem with the wetlands.
And
It's only one cottage, so.
Barry, go ahead.
Through to you, Deputy Mayor, we did do a site visit out there yesterday, and this is actually the second site visit. I do have some photos, however, my clicker is not working. Let me just flip through just to illustrate exactly where the proposed location is going to be. This is one. Second. Third. Essentially, these are the photos that we took yesterday at the site visit.
Thank you for that, Aria. That's all, Mr. Tucker. Or you have anything?
I believe so, yeah. The property's been there forever. I've been on the lake myself for 60 years. I'm not really trying to ruin the area. I have children and.
Thank you very much for your comments, sir. So that's once, twice, second time. Anyone present? Sorry, Alicia, you have your hand up. Did you want to add to that or?
Sorry, I was just putting it up for when after you call for the other folks, Mr. Chair. I'm happy to
Okay.
answer after. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, so second time, anyone online or present in favor? Third and final time, anyone present or online in favor of the application? So hearing that, did you want to comment now, Alicia, before I open it up to council?
Sure. Thanks, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I just wanted to confirm that basically what Mr. Tucker was saying, that the actual development that is going to be occurring is going to be more than 30 meters outside of any wetland area and environmentally protected zone. So the application, even though there is a zoning bylaw amendment happening, it really is just to facilitate the permanent nature of the dwelling rather than the seasonal. And the road agreement. So there's going to be no removal of environmental protection lands. I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you for clarifying that, because that was going to be one of my questions. Could we have a few letters about the environmental features, I guess, around this property? So thank you very much for addressing that. So not hearing any more comments, I'll open up to the members of council. Anyone? Councillor Clement, go ahead.
Aria, would you mind going back to the very first screen where the outline with the yellow and the blue? Okay, are those blue areas with the little, is that the ecosystem that you're worried about? That's part of the yellow? Top left up there?
I was not sure if Alicia wants to answer.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, sorry, the screen's small. I thought I saw you gesturing, Aria. Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, so the sort of blue speckled area there, that's indicating the wetland, and it effectively is consistent with the environmental protection zone on the property as well. So that is an image from the Peterborough County GIS. So that section there is going to be remaining untouched, and then the area sort of south of that blue speckled spot is where the actual development is proposed.
Can I follow up?
What?
Where's the road going to go in?
Can I just show you, or is that all right? I'll just
Sure, Mr. Tucker, go ahead, yeah.
The driveway already is right here, comes down in here, and the house is gonna go in here. This is Fire Route 87, it goes through my property right here, and all these cottages past that don't even have deeded access, but. So this is where it's gonna be, right here, the building, down below.
Where's your waterfront? Where do you get
Right here,
That's what,
oh, right there, just gonna use. That's Lake. The numerous lots along the front are 100-foot frontages, and I think the one there, lot 34, it's divided, it's 50-foot frontage on each cottage, so.
Okay.
I have 4.5 acres, not a half an acre,
Right.
so.
Any other members of council with comments or questions? Councilor Doherty, go ahead.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, that's a creek, or that you mentioned that that's a lake, or what, that blue on that?
Just need a bigger picture of Jack's Lake, you'd see it, it's the end of the bay, Redmond Bay there.
Yeah.
You can
what
see
is
the
it?
east.
Or like the blue there inside of the triangle, what is that?
That's water.
Okay. And what is it? Is it part of Jack's Lake?
Yeah.
Or is it a river, or?
It's part of Jack's Lake,
Okay, good, thank you.
it's the end of the bay. It's
Kind of like a back swamp
about
of
bigger
the bays or
picture
something,
of it,
okay.
you can see the whole lake.
And if I may, a follow-up
Go ahead.
question, and there's something on the proposed development, it says vehicle parking will be provided via a new proposed driveway, which will be accessed via 87. What does that mean?
That's the driveway he just showed you that was coming.
But it's already in, why are we?
The driveway is, and the parking will be just in front of the cottage on the driveway.
Just,
Like it's my property, right? So I'll just park in front of where I'm building the cottage. The driveway comes in here and they're asking how much, so the parking will be right in front of the cottage, right here.
But if it's, I guess I'm confused, it's already in there, so maybe.
we got the planner, so Alicia, I see you with your hand up, maybe you could help explain this for us, please.
Sure thing, yes. Through you, Mr. Chair, actually, Ari, I was just wondering if you might be able to zoom in on the sort of left map there with the aerial imagery if possible, just so we can get a bit of a clear view. If not, no problem. I'll just try to explain what Mr. Tucker, I think, is explaining here as well. So in the report, it does say it's through a new driveway. That is referring to the existing driveway that Mr. Tucker is referring to as well, and that Aria saw and took photos of yesterday on a site visit, and did see on a site visit, I believe it was 2 weeks prior as well. So the new driveway per se in the report is referencing the driveway that is going to be leading, or that is already leading, to the developable area on the site. And just to clarify the sort of wetland Jack Lake question, all of that wetland in that blue speckled area on the map, it is a wetland that is associated with Jack Lake, so it is part of Jack Lake, and that is what constitutes the water frontage. It's not, as clear of a water frontage as perhaps on the other side of the bay, but it is completely associated with Jack Lake.
Thank you for that, Alicia. Any other comments from members of council? If not, is there a member willing to make a motion? Doherty, go ahead.
And respect to the comments, I mean, I can't speak to those, but there's no real reason why we would not approve the severance. The amendment, is that right? Get your recommendation other than the hold?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes. So other than the hold that would be applied, which is tied to the road agreement, which would if this were approved today, that would then be enacted between the township and the applicant afterwards. So no building could actually happen until that road agreement was enacted, building being the actual dwelling itself. But yes, the only change that the amendment is proposing is to just allow basically that road agreement to allow the permanent dwelling. Otherwise, all of the zoning is being met. So to confirm, yes, my recommendation is for approval today with the hold zone.
I'll make the recommendation.
We got a motion from Councilor Doherty to approve the recommendation with stipulations added to it. Seconded by Councilor Flagler. All in favor of the motion? That passed. Thank you very much. We'll move on to our second zoning bylaw amendment for today, which is Andrew Barrington. Once again, this is a statutory public meeting held under section 34 of the Planning Act. The owner applicant is Andrew Barrington. The property is described as part lot 4, concession 5, known municipally as 189 Fire Road 64, having a property roll number of 1531010051920. And I'll turn it over to Ari for the presentation.
Through to you, Deputy Mayor Webb. Good morning, members of council. Sorry, I'm trying to kind of configure this. The purpose and effect of this report is to present for the consideration and requisite approval of council an application to amend the Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen's comprehensive zoning bylaw number 1995-42 as amended in order to permit the relocation of an existing seasonal recreational dwelling unit further from the shoreline, increasing the height of the structure to add both a walkout basement as well as extending a lakeside screen porch while also introducing certain site-specific regulations. The recommendation of my report is that, subject to any new information or public comments received prior to or at the statutory public meeting, that the draft bylaw be passed as presented and that the balance of this report be received. I'm just going to go a little bit into the background of this application. So as proposed, the development on the subject lot will consist of a complete relocation of an existing seasonal dwelling unit. The structure will not be demolished, it will just be simply relocated. For which its placement will result in an increase in the setback from both the side lot line as well as the high water mark setback. This relocation will also consist of raising the existing structure by roughly around 1.2 meters, which translates to 4 feet, to include a walkout basement intended to be used as future habitable space. This will alongside with an extension of an existing lakeside open deck, which will be turned into a screened porch. The entire structure is presently located with an 8.8, which roughly translates to about 29 feet of setback from the shoreline of Oak Lake. The proposed structure is intended to be pushed further back, a total of 4.5 meters, which is roughly around 14 feet, increasing the setback of the seasonal recreational dwelling unit from the shoreline of Oak Lake to approximately 13.25, or translating it to, 13.25 meters or 43.5 feet. Just a little bit about the property and its description. The subject lands comprise approximately 0.12 hectares, which translates to 0.32 acres, with frontage maintained on Oak Lake. There's currently an existing recreational dwelling unit on the subject lot. The square footage is roughly around 760 square feet, with an assortment of smaller little sheds, all less than 100 square feet. Property assessment data provided by the Municipal Property Assessment Corporation indicates that the existing recreational dwelling unit had been constructed back in 1959 with valid building permits issued for the open deck that is in front. And I believe there was a minor variance obtained for that in 2000. As per the submitted application and the site plan, the applicant does not intend on expanding any exterior walls towards property line boundaries. In fact, much of the proposed development would be considered net improvements, as the dwelling unit is being pushed further back from the shoreline, as well as the side lot line. The existing recreational dwelling unit is presently serviced by an individual sewage system in the form of a septic system. This is located roughly northeast of the dwelling unit. The applicants are proposing to utilize the exact same system, and permits from permits from People Public Health, which is the health unit, would be required, and I believe they have obtained that. So in terms of the planning discussion, I'm just going to go a little bit into the provincial policy statements and the growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe. Both plans permit resource-based residential development within the rural areas, while also introducing certain or including policies to protect significant natural heritage features. The growth plan stipulates that resource-based development within rural areas must be compatible with the surrounding landscape, as well as the character and capacity of the resource, whichever one is nearby. In particular, section 4.2 of the growth plan includes policies that are intended to protect natural heritage features. The section also states that outside of settlement areas, development will not be permitted within 30 meters of the any vegetation protections. This is just essentially a buffer from natural heritage features. However, the growth plan also permits infill development within the 30-meter buffer, provided that the development restores to the maximum extent possible the ecological functions of the feature. The applicant intends on relocating again, just reiterating, relocating the recreational dwelling unit further from the shoreline of Oak Lake. And I believe they did a natural heritage evaluation and a slope stability study to support that. Therefore, the proposal does not conflict with the provincial policies. Just a little bit in terms of the county's official plan. According to the county's official plan, the site is designated as shoreland areas on the waterfront. Policies of the county official plan permit residential land uses. The plan also states that the built form along the shoreline shall not dominate the natural form. Further, a site visit was conducted on April 15, 2023. The site visit also determined that the proposed recreational dwelling unit will be fairly buffered from public views on Oak Lake, as there is quite a bit of lining of trees, reducing the exposure of the structure from the shoreline. Therefore, there is consistency with the county's official plan. Just a little bit about the township's official plan. I won't go into a huge lot of detail on this. The development on the subject lot consists of, again, the relocation and the increase of the height. As proposed, the applicants, the recreational dwelling unit, again, will be raised. And to support the application, the applicants have obtained a slope stability study as well as a scoped environmental impact study. Furthermore, the development is being pushed further from the shoreline, so there is greater conformity with the Greater Golden Horseshoe. The growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe. Therefore, it is the township's planning opinion that the application meets the spirit and intent of the township's official plan as the policies are being met or the policy tests are being met. And finally, the zoning bylaw. According to Schedule A1 of bylaw number 1995-42 as amended, the subject property is currently zoned seasonal residential. If this application was approved, it will serve to rezone the subject lands to Special District 274 and introduce certain site-specific regulations. All existing accessory uses will be maintained in their current standards. This application will further serve to permit the existing uses with no alterations being proposed. As previously mentioned, meeting that 30-meter high watermark setback for the subject lot would render difficulties. And my report stipulated that if they were to essentially push the structure outside the 30-meter setback, it would fall outside the property line boundaries. Following our review and assessment of this application within the context of all the land use planning policies and zoning regulations, is the township's planning opinion that it conforms with the growth plan, the county of Peterborough's official plan, the township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen's official plan, and the township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen zoning bylaw. And that concludes my report to the council.
Thank you very much for the report, Arya. We'll all call 3 times. Anyone online or in person wishing to speak in opposition to this application? Second time, anyone in person online wishing to speak in opposition? Third and final time, anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Is there anyone online or present wishing to speak in favor of this application? Second time, anyone wishing to speak in favor?
Yes, this is Andy Barrington. Obviously, I'm applying for it, so I would be in favor of this proposal going ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Barrington. Is that all you have to add, or?
unless there's any questions.
Not hearing any at the moment, but maybe going forward, so just stand by.
Okay,
So third and final time, anyone wishing to speak in favor? Not hearing any, so I'll open up to members of council. Do you have any questions for Mr. Barrington or would like to make a motion? Councillor Clement, go ahead.
I just want to question someone about the erosion hazard line. Can you explain that a bit to me, please?
Through to you, Deputy Mayor Webb. Yes, absolutely, to you, Kathy. Essentially, the erosion hazard line was a line that was depicted in, I believe, the slope stability study. It had, so the structure has to be located outside of that buffer, and that slope stability study determined that that's the line in which the structure has to be located outside of, just so that there's no erosion hazards and whatnot. And so I believe the Conservation Authority did approve this plan, and also it was supported by a slope stability study that was done by Andrew's ecologist.
yes, if I can add to that, the slope stability study was done by the engineering firm Cambium out of Peterborough. And it was approved by Crow Valley Conservation. And I have documents for any of that if required.
That's fine, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barrington. So members of the council, anyone ready to make a motion on this application? Councillor Clement, go ahead.
I quite approve of this one. I quite like the idea that's moving back farther away from the water. And I will propose that we.
We have a motion from Councillor Clement to approve the application. Do I have a seconder for that? Seconded by Councillor Doherty. Comments or questions? All in favor? And that's passed. Thank you very much for that. That ends up at the end of our zoning bylaws for today. So if I can just get a motion from member of council to move out of the public meeting back to our normal meeting. Councillor Doherty, seconded by Councillor Clement. All in favor? And that's passed. And just to let the one applicants here, we will be passing the bylaws at the end of the meeting. That's traditionally how we do it. So, but it'll get passed at the end of the meeting. Nothing's going to change.
Okay.
Or you'll get a phone call.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, all right, that's the CEO for procedure here. I guess I have to make a motion to go back into committee of adjustment for minor variances. So if I get a motion for that, Councillor Flagler, seconded by Councillor Doherty, all in favor? And that's passed. So we'll move into that. I guess I don't have to thank the mayor. I'll call this public meeting to order and remind the members of the committee of the requirement to disclose any pecuniary interest and general nature thereof if the occasion arises. This public meeting is held under section 45 of the Planning Act and its regulations. We will now have our planning consultant, Ari Ajazi, present I believe 3 minor variance reports today. Ari, go ahead.
Through to the chair. Good morning, committee. Application A2923 for applicant Charlene Maloney, owner of part lot 29, concession 2, plan 26, lot 60. The property does have a municipal address of 595 Fire Route 59. So the purpose and effect, or the purpose of this minor variance application is to seek relief from sections 4.1 E2 and E3 and section 11.2.1 G of the Township's comprehensive zoning bylaw 1995-42 as amended to permit the development of a detached accessory garage. This application will have the following effects: 1, reducing the minimum required rear yard setback from 3 meters to 1.5 meters. Number 2, reducing the minimum required side yard setback as per section 4.1 E from 3 meters to 1.5 meters. And finally, increasing the maximum required lot coverage from 15% to 17.6%. The recommendation of my report is that minor variance application A29-23 be approved with the following conditions: that the development be completed in accordance with the site plan submitted, that a 20-day appeal period lapse prior to the issuance of a building permit, that the development meet all setback standards pertaining to hydro easements and sewage systems, that a building permit be issued within 18 months of the approval of this application, and that the balance of this report be received. As my report has stipulated, the township has determined that the application meets all 4 tests of a minor variance under section 45 of the Planning Act. It is also consistent with the provincial policy statement as well as the growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe. The development will be taking place within the watershed jurisdiction of Crow Valley Conservation Authority. A permit from their office is anticipated as part of the building permit process. Furthermore, the application has been circulated to CVCA, which is the Crow Valley Conservation Authority, as well as Peterborough Public Health, who is the health unit, for their commentary. And so far, Crow Valley Conservation has commented on the proposed development, sharing no concerns. I just wanted to point out one thing about the site plan. Unfortunately, the site plan, the real one, is actually below here. The proposed development is actually taking place here, I believe, right up here. So forgive me, that is my concludes my report to
Thank you for that, Aria. Is the applicant or their agent present with us today?
Take a look.
Did you have anything to add to? No. Okay, thank you. So is there anyone present or online wishing to speak in opposition of this application? Second time, anyone present wishing to speak in opposition? Third and final time, anyone wishing to speak in opposition of the application? Is there anyone present or online wishing to speak in favor of the application? Second time, anyone wishing to speak in favor? Third and final time, anyone wishing to speak in favor? Hearing no comments, I'll open up the floor for the members of the committee for comments or a motion. Councilor Doherty, go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve the application with the conditions as outlined by our planner.
We have a motion to approve with conditions, moved by Councilor Doherty, seconded by Councilor Clement. Comments or questions, all in favor? And that's passed. Thank you very much for that. So we'll move on to our second application for today, which is Sutherland.
through to the chair. Okay, through the chair, application A 30-23 for applicant John Sutherland, owner of part lot 15 concession 7, registered plan 45R11085, parts 11 to 14. This property has a municipal address of 38 Fire Route 39. So the purpose of this minor variance application is to seek relief from section 4.1E4, 4.37, and 4.46.51.3.1. I know that's a handful there. These are just the regs of the Township's comprehensive zoning bylaw, 1995-42 as amended. This is to permit the development of a single-story addition to an existing accessory structure in the form of a detached garage on an existing lot record. So essentially, the application is to just extend an already existing garage towards the rear of the garage. The application will have the following effects. Number one, reducing the minimum separation distance between buildings from 1.5 meters to 1 meter. Reducing the minimum required high watermark setback from 30 meters to 23.4 meters. And increasing the maximum floor area of all accessory buildings and structures from 50% of the total floor area of the main building to 70%. And the recommendation of my report is that application A30-23 be approved with the following conditions. I'll turn that off. That the development be completed in accordance with the site plan submitted. That a 20-day appeal period lapse prior to the issuance of the building permit. That the development meet all setback standards pertaining to hydro easements and sewage systems. That the requisite approval be received by the following approval authorities to their satisfaction, and one being the Crow Valley Conservation Authority. And that the building permit be issued within 18 months of the approval of this application. So as my report has stipulated, the township has determined that the application meets all 4 tests of a minor variance. It is also consistent with the provincial policy statements as well as the growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe. The development will be taking place within the watershed jurisdiction of Crow Valley Conservation Authority. A permit from their office is anticipated as part of the building permit process. Furthermore, the application has been circulated to CVCA as well as the Peterborough Public Health for their commentary. And so far, CVCA has commented that they share no concerns with the proposed development. And that concludes my report to the committee.
Thank you very much for the report, Aria. I'll ask, is the applicant or agent present with us today?
Yes.
Yes, I'm present, thank you.
And your name is, sir?
John Sutherland?
Okay. Do you have anything to add, or?
No, I just want to thank the deputy mayor and members of council for considering this variance application.
Thank you very much, sir. So I will ask anyone present or online wishing to speak in opposition to this application. Second time, anyone wishing to speak in opposition of the application? Third and final time, anyone wishing to speak in opposition of the application? Is there anyone present or online wishing to speak in favor of the application?
I will speak in favor of it, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Second time, anyone wishing to speak in favor? Third and final time, anyone wishing to speak in favor? So I'll open up the floor for any questions from the members of the committee. No questions? Is somebody ready to make a motion on the application? Councillor Clement, go ahead.
I'll make a motion to forward this.
Okay, so Councillor Clement is a motion to approve with the conditions already. Okay. So I have a seconder for that. Seconded by Councillor Doherty. Any comments on the motion? If not, all in favor? And that's passed. Thank you very much for that. Move on to third and final minor variance, which is Edwards. Of course, it's not here.
Through to the chair, application A31-23 for applicant George Edwards, owner of part lot 5, concession 7, having a municipal address of 571 7th Line South. The purpose of this minor variance application is to seek relief from section 4.35B of the Township's comprehensive zoning bylaw 1995-42 as amended to permit the development of an additional dwelling unit located within an accessory building detached from the primary dwelling unit. And it also shall be constructed to a maximum size of 86% of the primary dwelling unit as prescribed under section 4.35B of the zoning bylaw. This application will have the following effects. Number one, and there's only one, increase the maximum percentage allocation for the additional dwelling unit in the rural zone from 60% of the principal dwelling unit to 86%. So the recommendation from my report is that application A-31-23 be approved with the following conditions: that the development be completed in accordance with the site plan submitted, that the development meet all setback standards required pertaining to hydro easements and sewage systems, that the building permit be issued within 18 months of the approval of this application, and that a 28 appeal period lapse prior to the issuance of the building permit. As my report has stipulated, the township has determined that the application meets all 4 tests of a minor variance. It is also consistent with the provincial policy statement as well as the growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe. Much like the previous applications, the development will be taking place within the watershed jurisdiction of Crow Valley Conservation Authority. A permit from their office is again anticipated as part of the building permit process. Furthermore, this application has again been circulated to CVCA as well as the Peterborough Public Health for their commentary. And so far, CVCA has commented that they share no concerns with the proposed development. And that concludes my report to the committee.
Thank you very much for that report, Aria. Is the agent or applicant with us today? I know the applicant was here earlier. He left. I think he had a job to go to, but he will be back, but we can't wait. So I will ask, is there anyone present or online wishing to speak in opposition of this application? Second time, anyone wishing to speak in opposition of the application? Third and final time, anyone wishing to speak in opposition of the application? Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of this application? George, We're doing yours right now, so I just asked, is there anyone wishing to speak in favor? If you had anything to add to, I guess you didn't see Ari's presentation, but
No.
okay. Thank you. Second time, anyone wishing to speak in favor? Third and final time, anyone wishing to speak in favor of the application? Hearing any comments, I'll open up the floor to the members of the committee for comments or questions. Councillor Clement, go ahead.
Through you, Deputy Mayor. So this is another brand new building besides your existing one, like within 40 feet or something?
Yes.
Is it like another cottage or is it a shed or what is it going to be?
A house.
Okay,
Ari, go ahead.
Through to the chair. So the site plan illustrated here, so they have a house, the existing structure.
Mhm.
It's serviced by an individual sewage system, well, private well, and then there's gonna be an additional dwelling unit, so it's an accessory dwelling unit.
okay.
It's almost like some municipalities say garden suites, granite glass, whatever.
Granite flat, okay.
And that's gonna be proposed behind or to the rear of the existing structure.
And the existing septic will handle that?
Through to the chair, I believe a permit from their office would be required.
So they will have to relook at the septic.
Through to the chair, yes.
Okay.
Yes, a review of the septic system would have to be completed as part of the building permit process, for sure.
Okay.
That'll be part of the conditions of this area.
Absolutely.
Councillor Doherty, go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Deputy Mayor, just curiosity, where is the septic on this? Is that between the two? New or?
Through to the chair, that's a great question. Councillor Doherty, I would actually ask, maybe Mr. Edwards wants to provide some insight as to where the septic, I believe it's
It's
north.
directly west or to the north of the existing house.
Okay, yeah, roughly here.
So up there, okay.
Yep, Councillor Doherty, go ahead.
And follow up, and the well?
And the well is directly east behind that. It's actually there. It's that circle that you
Yeah, you see
see
it.
right there. That's the
Okay.
well.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
So, and is, we have a member willing to make a motion on this. Councillor Clement, go ahead.
I'll make the motion along with the septic
Condition.
conditions with the septic. Yeah.
We have a motion to approve the application with conditions from Councillor Clement. Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Doherty. Any comments or questions on it? All in favor? And that's passed. Thank you very much for your reports, Aria. If I can just get a motion to move out of Committee of Adjustment. Back to the regular meeting, Councillor Flagler, Councillor Clement, all in favor? Passed, thank you very much, and we'll move back into our regular meeting. So, and we'll continue with Aria and do planning reports. So creation of a new lot. Stuff.
Through to you, Deputy Mayor Webb. Good morning, members of council. So the purpose of this report is to obtain a recommendation of council for Peterborough County Land Division regarding the above referenced application, which is application B-2, I'll start over again. B-74-23. It's the creation of a new lot, and the applicant is Ronald and Elaine Ford. The property is legally described as part lot 19, concession 2N, the N being north, dash Belmont Ward. So the recommendation of this report is that council advise Peterborough County Land Division that the township endorses the application for consent to create one new building lot being referenced under application B-74-23 and having an assessment roll number of 1531-010-006-22100. And this was submitted again as per Ronald and Elaine Ford. The following conditions shall be imposed upon the endorsement of this application, and one of it being that $1,000 cash in lieu of parkland be paid to the municipality for the new lot being created. That a property survey demonstrates the setbacks of the existing dwelling unit to lot line boundaries. Should these setbacks be deficient in accordance with the applicable zone of the severed lot, a minor variance would be required to the satisfaction of the lower tier municipality, which is the township. And finally, that the county of Peterborough verify whether an entrance permit is achievable for both the severed and retained lots. So just a tiny bit of background on this property or this application. The property in question comprises approximately around 98 acres of land together with over 320 meters of frontage along County Road 48. The application now before council was filed with Peterborough County Land Division in August of 2023. Prior to the submission, however, the consent proposal was subject of a preliminary severance review, and this was completed in August of 2022, which would be a year before. Under application D-74-23, the severed lot will comprise approximately 1.86 acres in area, with approximately 76 meters of frontage along County Road 48. The retained lot will comprise approximately 98 acres in area, with approximately 245 meters of frontage along again, County Road 48. Aside from the adjacent pond on the retained lot, I know it's not indicated here, it was indicated in the report. There are no other known natural heritage features or hydrologic features within close proximity of the severed lot. So as far as the planning conformity, the Township's planning opinion is that the application doesn't meet or is consistent with the policies as prescribed under section 2.2.2 of the Township's official plan. And just as far as the zoning bylaw is concerned, the subject property is currently zoned rural as well as environmental protection in the Township's comprehensive zoning bylaw. Single detached dwelling units are permitted in the rural zone, provided the parcel has a minimum lot area of it says 3,035 square meters, which translates to about 0.75 acres, and a minimum lot frontage of 45 meters. And as previously mentioned in my report, both the retained and severed lots will exceed the minimum lot area requirement frontages, as well as the acreage under the zoning bylaw. The County of Peterborough GIS mapping indicates that the existing dwelling unit is potentially, now again, potentially deficient in its lot line setbacks. Should a property survey be completed, and I believe that's a non-negotiable condition under Land Division Committee. If the survey does show that there is a setback deficiency, then a minor variance would be required for that. It is a Township planning opinion that the proposed consent conforms to the Township's both official plan as well as zoning bylaws. And based on this review, it is, should council elect to support the application, it is appropriate to offer endorsement, provided the conditions that I have stipulated apply. That concludes.
Thank you for that report, Aria. Comments or questions on the report, Councillor Clements?
Through you, Deputy Mayor. So the green one down the bottom is the existing, I guess where the existing structure is, the existing lot. The map shows that they're severing to the northeast up at the top. But it's supposed to be fronting County Road 48. Should that severance not be down beside the retained one?
Through to you, Deputy Mayor. I don't follow exactly,
Okay.
so that's
The severed part is the pink.
the severed part is
You're severing, the whole pink
Yeah.
thing is severed. Whoa,
they're just essentially creating one new lot. A small one off County Road 48.
gotcha. Okay, gotcha. All right.
No, they're creating a big lot of coming.
That's what I was looking at, thinking, this is very big. Okay, so
There are a few questions around this one.
is the lot, is this still owned by the same owner, regular? The retained lot?
Through the chair, yes, it is owned by the same person.
Okay. I'm thinking.
Councillor Doherty, go ahead.
Through you, Deputy Mayor. I was just a little confused by the last part of your presentation, which said if we get a survey, their setback, what do you, maybe just run over that again for me, please, because I'm just a little confused.
Chairman, yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So essentially, you know what, I'll actually make an illustration with my hands. So essentially, the dwelling unit is situated somewhere on this lot. Yeah, okay. If a property survey comes out and the dwelling unit is situated super close to the property line boundary, if the zoning bylaw says you have to have a specific distance, like 10 meters, whatever. Yeah. If it's less than that, they just obtain a minor variance for that setback, just to provide them relief from it. Essentially, that would be a condition.
if there's any chance at all, wouldn't you just take a little bit more land if it's his, so you wouldn't have that particular issue?
And go through to the chair, that would be one solution. However, we can't really guarantee that it is. They claim that it meets the setback standards, but let's just say the property survey comes back and says, no, it's a little deficient, they can obtain a minor variance.
I guess that's the part I don't understand, why we would do a minor variance when the problem can already be addressed and fixed prior to, if there's any chance. I mean, he must have a survey of the thing. There's a building on there. Just an observation.
Thank you. That's a great question, and it's pretty typical in terms of our deputy mayor is actually on land division. And how many of these have we seen, do you think, where minor variances
These are somewhat frequent now.
frequent? Yes.
I'm not sure.
I'll just make a suggestion in terms of Ari, it's cleared most of the hurdles here. I take it, Ari, looking at your report. It's probably something that unless, you or someone else here finds a real problem with, like pass it here, move it on to county and then make the final decision on it. So
I probably make the motion that we do that with subject to the conditions, but I still don't understand why you wouldn't enlarge it, why we want to duplicate the work, but that's okay.
I'll try and get an answer for you. Maybe.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Doherty. The motion didn't turn out to approve the recommendation, seconded by Councillor Clement. All in favor? That's passed. Thank you very much for that. Move on to number 2 under planning, proposed zoning bylaw housekeeping amendment.
Through to you, Deputy Mayor Webb, members of council. So the purpose of this report is to summarize the proposed housekeeping amendments. The housekeeping amendments to the Township's comprehensive zoning bylaw number 1995-42 as amended. The recommendation is that council receive this report for information, and if so they wish, they provide commentary for further implementation by Township staff. As well as the council directs staff to proceed with giving the notice of a statutory public meeting to consider the proposed amendments. Just a tiny bit of background. I won't go into huge detail on this. I will point to the slides up there, but during the February 21st, 2023 open session, Township Council authorized staff to proceed with the preparation of a draft housekeeping amendment to the Township's comprehensive zoning bylaw 1995-42 as amended, in order to address certain long-standing issues that have arisen as a result of certain provisions or lack thereof. The purpose of this amendment is to make minor modifications and adjustments to the bylaw to streamline the development process more seamlessly and to avoid both public and administrative confusions. Additionally, the amendment also contains certain provisions that are required as a result of the passing of the More Homes Built Faster Act, which was in 2022. This bill is referred to as Bill 23 famously. This bill was received with royal assent in November of 2022, so it has been passed. And Bill 23 resulted in some sweeping changes to the Planning Act to spur housing development across the province and make certain modifications and regulations inclusive of, but also not limited to, parkland dedication, development cost charges, and secondary developments. Now, the purpose of this housekeeping amendment is not for the parkland, and it's not for development cost charges. It will consist of secondary dwelling units. As directed, a revised draft bylaw has since been prepared, which accompanies this report. And at this juncture, it would be appropriate for council to consider the proposed changes and provide commentary if needed. It would also be further advisable to authorize staff to schedule a statutory public meeting for the purposes of gathering public input. And that concludes my report to the
Thank you for that, Ari. As already referenced, this is more of for information for council, and possibly if you have any comments or questions on some of the revisions that might be done here, I guess get in contact with Ari or Travis. And or you said there's also going to be a public meeting here at some point, Ari. Do we have a time frame for that? Or
through to you, Deputy Mayor Webb? We don't have a timeline right now. It would have to be so we would have to circulate it 20 days prior. We would post it on our websites, blah, blah, blah. And so those Planning Act regulations need to be implemented. Now, we don't send them to property owners per se, because we would have to send it to every single property across the township, but we will circulate it in the Havelock Rail, in our social media platforms, as well as the website, just so that it is adequately circulated. And we also will have a public meeting.
So in the interest of keeping things moving in terms of a time, like I realized probably not before Christmas, but are we looking sometime right after Christmas? So this doesn't, as you said, we brought this up last February, right? So
Through you, Deputy Mayor, yes, that would be correct.
okay, thank you very much for that. Members, council, comments or questions on the report? No, I could just get a motion to. Sorry,
Question.
Councillor Clement, go ahead.
Sorry. So for today, we're just accepting this as information? Okay.
Already, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll make the motion to receive the report.
And sorry, Ari, did you have a comment to?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, yes, so if the draft bylaw is right here, if you read through it, if there's any questions or you guys or council wants to amend any of these, I mean, the list of amendments are right there. We're just, again, cleaning up certain areas of the zoning bylaw that just had issues with an administrative kind of standpoint, but if there are any implementation or comments, more than happy to collect them.
We still making a motion to receive? Councillor Doherty? Okay, second by Councillor Clement, all in favor? And that's passed. Move on to number 3, bylaw stop up close can convey part of the road allowance between lots 30 and 31.
Through to you, Deputy Mayor Webb, members of council. The purpose of this report is to request council to enact a bylaw to stop up, close and convey the portion of unopened road allowance bisecting the property having civic address of 449 Fire Route 87 between lots 30 and 31, concession 8 in the Methuen ward. The recommendation is that council pass the necessary bylaw to stop up, close and convey that part of a road allowance. Again, between lots 30 and 31, concession 8 under the bylaw section of this agenda. Just a tiny bit on the background of this. At the September 19th open council session in 2023, council hereby declared the unopened road allowance as surplus. I guess survey plan up there is exactly what the description entails. The address is 449 Fire Route 87. It's situated between lots 30 and 31, concession 8. And also that the necessary bylaw to stop up and close and convey that part of a road allowance shall be considered for a future open council session, which is today. The owners of the subject lands have expressed a desire to purchase the unopened road allowance identified on Schedule A of the attached bylaw. The owners have provided an appraised value of the subject lands, which again was attached to the agenda. In accordance with the above motion, staff requests authorization to commence with the process to stop up and close and convey the subject lands. And that concludes my report.
Thank you for the report, Aria. As you referenced, this is something we dealt with back in September. So members of council, is somebody willing to make a motion to keep this going? Councillor Clement, the motion is
To pass it.
okay to approve. Or accept the recommendation, I guess, stop up, close and convey. Do I have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Doherty. Comments or questions? No. So all in favor of the motion, and that's passed. Thank you very much, council. And move on to fourth and final one, Aria, another request to stop up, close and convey.
Due to you, Deputy Mayor Webb, members of council, the purpose and effect of this report is to present the consideration of council a request to stop up, close and convey the portion of unopened road allowance. Now, this is the neighboring parcel to the previous presentation. The request to stop up and close is on the road allowance Methuen concession 8 part lot 31 with municipal address of 390 Fire Route 87, and this is a deferred report. The recommendation is that council agree in principle to the request from the property owners to stop up, close and convey that portion of an unopened road allowance bisecting the property having a municipal civic address of 390 Fire Route 87, and the township council township staff, I should say, provide the applicants with the necessary requirements in order to fulfill the stopping up and closing of the unopened road allowance. Just as by way of a reintroduction into this, so this is the neighboring parcel to the previous application. The municipality did receive a request from both Ethan and Mark Crow, who are owners of the subject lands, regarding the proposed acquisition of approximately 66 feet, 66. It is 66 meters, it says here. I'll have to verify that, of the unopened road allowance bisecting their property from the shoreline of Jack Lake. The property is described as concession 8, part lot 31 with municipal address of 395 Route 87. There's currently an existing recreational dwelling unit located directly on the unopened road allowance, alongside a sleeping cabin. Township records will reflect no existing building permits for either structures. However, data from the Municipal Property Assessment Corporation, or MPAC, indicates that both structures were built in 1974, and that would roughly be around the same time, or maybe even before, the first zoning bylaw of Township Belmont-Methuen. The matter was brought forward to Township Council during the September 19th regular council session, and was ultimately deferred. And to this date, we do have a policy in regards to these situations. It's just the policy might be a little bit outdated, so we do defer to the official plan for guidance on these situations. So the Township's official plan, it has a certain number of tests in it. One being like if the road allowance is directly in front of a lot on a shoreline, that would be one test. An original road allowance on where there's a dedicated plan of subdivision or plan of condominium. Now, none of the plan of condominiums really applies. However, it does meet certain of those certain tests. I'd be more than happy to actually provide clarity if need be. So essentially the request does conform with the official plan. I do believe that in terms of the zoning bylaw, the unopened road allowance purchase would also create somewhat of a net improvement. For one, the existing structures appear to be located directly on the unopened road allowance with no presence of any encroachment agreement. Currently, these structures would be considered legal non-conforming, and therefore the purchase of the unopened road allowance would bring these structures into further conformity with the zoning bylaw. As it currently exists, the remaining segment of the unopened road allowance, as my report has stipulated, serves no benefit to the township. Therefore, it would be appropriate for council to approve the stopping up and closing and conveying of the unopened road allowance. And that concludes my report to the council.
Thank you very much for that report, Aria. It's good. I believe I made the motion to defer it. There's when we get into these closing and road allowances, I just like to make sure that we're doing the right thing here. And meeting with you, Aria, as I said, I think we've covered all our bases, so I'm good with where we sit now, but I'll open up to the rest of council in terms of moving this forward. Councilor Doherty, go ahead.
There you go, Deputy Mayor. The purchase price is 27 for the first one we just approved, and then the 27 is going to be on the second we approved. So they're both going to pay the same price.
Through to you, Chairman. I believe that's the case. I will call upon the applicant, who I know is on the call, to provide further clarity on the appraised value of the lands.
The appraised value is there. Yes, is it going to apply once or twice? We're making 2 stop up and closes.
Yes.
And we're selling 1 piece of land or 2. I guess that's the question.
Through to you, Chairman. I don't have that answer for you right at the moment. It could, at the very minimum, it would be 1. At best case scenario, it would be 2. I will provide that answer for you after.
Or Travis, do you have something?
Oh, so through you, I can say it will be two parcels of land. Each will be identified as a separate part and merged with the appropriate land.
So we will be selling 2 pieces. Perfect. Okay. Yes. Mr. Crow, did you have a comment?
No, I just wanted to make clear that it is selling 2 pieces. The appraisal had 3 ways of determining the value on both. The previous property, 449, the appraiser had valued it at 27 in one case, 14,000 in another, and 27 in another. In this particular property, they evaluated it in all 3 cases as 27. So the appraiser chose the 27, the higher value for the previous one. But our intention is, yes, we'd be paying twice.
Thank you, Mr. Crowe. So member of the council for the comments. Councillor Clement, go ahead.
So now that we have that straightened out through you, Deputy Mayor, I'm quite willing to go forward with this.
Okay, we have a motion to approve
Yeah.
the recommendations from Councillor Clement. Do I have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Doherty. All in favor? That's passed. Thank you very much for that, Aria. So next on our agenda is delegations, presentations. I guess Richard's not going to be here for that webinar. So we're going to keep moving. We'll move right on to staff reports for information. Travis, building department activity, everybody's had a look over that. Any comments or questions in terms of Travis's report? No, if I could just get a motion to receive them by Councillor Doherty, seconded by Councillor Flagler. All in favor? That's passed. Thank you very much. Move right into staff for follow-up action, staff reports for follow-up action. So first up, Pete, jug fill water supply station location.
Yes, good morning, Deputy Mayor and members of council. The purpose of this report is to obtain council's direction on the location of the jug fill and water supply station. Staff have two recommendations. For the water fill station will be located either at well 1 and 4 or at the water tower on Concession Street at 111 Concession Street.
Okay. Council, I believe when we made the motion, or I was in budget to go ahead with this project for the water station or whatever it is, water refill station. That the original place we were looking at putting it was up by the water tower. Now, obviously, that is always subject to change, but from my point of view, I think it's a good place to start. I guess it doesn't have to stay there forever. It is going to be a portable unit, right, Pete? And when I mean portable, it's not going to be something we're going to be moving around week to week, but I mean, after 6 months or a year, if we find someplace, you know, that we can find a better location, then yes, we are able to move it at a very low cost. So
yes, that is correct.
Councillor Doherty, go ahead.
Through you, we talk about this being mobile, but I mean, we're going to hook it up to water and electricity, so there's going to be some cost. So I guess the question is, did you get any estimates of what the cost would be to put it at the tower versus 1 and 4? Or do we have any number relative to getting this thing operational?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, I can return with numbers for that, Councillor Doherty. It depends on where we put it for the location as to costs and how far we have to run the water lines and mains and hydro. An example at well 1 and 4, if we'd be pretty close to the water main at the water tower, we might be a little further away depending on the location. So we could come back with some estimates for you on that.
Do we plan on graveling around it, paving around it? Like, what is the intent? I guess maybe that's our job.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, yes, I would recommend asphalt under or around the water filling station, as of if there's spills or water, like it's going to wash the gravel away. So I would definitely recommend a pavement area for people to fill up or use the station.
Follow-up, one more follow-up, and then are we going to get some, once we make the decision to locate it, are we going to get some signage? Or are we going to find the water dispenser after we move it?
No, through you, Deputy Mayor. No, we will definitely do some advertising and put it in the rail and the community.
And then maybe a sign. Just if we're doing our pricing, we might as well have it all encompassing.
As just a follow-up, I am going to meet with Chris Montgomery early next week. Just to go through what they have presented to us to make sure that we have everything as council decided and approved. So first next week.
And in terms of, I guess because we're just picking the site now, but up there at the water tower, have you been up there and kind of eyeballed it in terms of a place up there it might be? Like, well, all I'm thinking of is traffic flow. So like, obviously, people like a place probably where, you know what I mean, you can go in and come out, because I think a lot of them would have trailers, so I don't want people. I don't want a narrow kind of inlet or whatever, people are going in, backing out and stuff like that, so yeah, like that kind of loop feature or something.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, that would be my suggestion, I think would be just a U drive as it, pretty much as it is right now. And pavement would be an option of how much or all of it, but that would be the appropriate entrance to come off of Concession Street as well.
Yeah, okay, thank you for that, Pete. Any other comments or questions? Councillor Clement, go ahead.
So this is more of a comment than anything. I agree. I think it should go at the water tower. North Street's gonna be under construction. We've got the splash pad there with kids. You know, we don't need more traffic on George Street at this point. I'd like to see us start. Like I said, 6 months time in a year, we review it or whatever. But let's put it up there to start with, and then, you know, that's my personal recommendation, is the water tower.
Councillor Flagler, go ahead.
To their deputy. Okay, sorry. Okay, I'd like to put a motion on the floor that we go with the water tower for the installation spot for the water, and yeah, move forward with that.
Okay, so we have a motion from Councillor Flagler for water fill station up at the water tower. Councillor Doherty. Sorry, Peter.
So we're dealing with the location only.
Just the location at the moment.
All right, I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor? That's passed. Thank you very much. So Councillor Doherty.
I can do a follow-up then. Yep. Now that we're going to get it there, you're going to get us a price on what it's going to cost and bring that back. Peter, am I understanding that right, or do we have to make another motion?
No, through you, Deputy Mayor. No, I will come back. I will meet the first of the week. We'll make sure everything is according to what council approved and as the plan and the design of the water filling jug station. And then I'll work on getting prices for hydro through the local contractors for hydro and the water hookup as well.
And the construction around it.
Yeah,
kind of like a final number on it as we can.
As a building chief had mentioned too, a concrete pad, it could probably be ideal to set it on for structures. So there might be but there will be 2 or 3 parcels included. There would be a price for pavement, the electrical, the water, and the concrete pad to set the station on.
Yeah. And is this imminent? Like, in other words, are we going to get it this year, or will this be a springtime thing that we're looking at, Peter?
I'll just good point, Councillor Doherty. I was just going to suggest to Pete, because we do have budget coming up. So maybe if we could have those numbers, maybe after Christmas, like before Christmas would be nice, but I mean, we're getting down to some time here, and just in terms of budgeting for next year too. I mean, if we're going to have to do work, some of that might, I realize we have money in the water fill station budget to do some of the work, but to pre-plan ahead for next year, especially if we're going to have to do pavement or concrete work, right? Stuff like that. So it'd be nice to have a number of that.
Yeah, through you, Deputy Mayor, I can work with Lionel on that and figure out what we have in the budget that was approved and where we're at with the estimated cost for the station.
Good. We can deal with it through the budget process. Is that satisfactory, Councillor Doherty?
Yeah, that's good.
Thank you, Pete. Did I call a motion on it? Sorry, did I call the vote on it? Okay. Apologies. Thank you for that report, Pete. So we'll move on to number 2. We got Bob, CAO, regular council meeting dates and times for 2024.
Through you, Deputy Mayor Webb. Deputy Mayor. This report presents the council meeting schedule for 2024. Just a couple of notes of interest. It does follow the pattern of the 2023 meeting schedule in the sense that meetings are held at 9:30 on the first and third Tuesday of each month. There are 2 long weekends that affect that schedule, in which the meeting will start at 1 o'clock after the holiday Monday. And this this schedule does change from 2023. In 2023, we did not have a meeting scheduled in July. However, we remember that we did have to schedule a meeting in July, so this calendar puts a meeting in July and a meeting in August as well.
Thank you for that, Bob. As the CEO referenced, we got a meeting every month now, so we don't have the gap like we had last year, which was nice because we ended up having to have a meeting in July anyways to make up for it. So thank you very much for this report. Members of council, any comments or questions on the report? No, Councilor Flagler, go ahead.
Yes, through you, Deputy Mayor. The meetings in July and August. Here, is it just one?
Yep. Yes, Tuesday, July 9th, and yeah, Tuesday, August 13th. So
and that's the 3rd or the 4th? Tuesdays.
I'm sorry, so I think it'd be the second Tuesday of July and the second Tuesday of August, I believe. Yeah. I don't have a calendar, but it's going by numbers. That sound right? I can still add. Okay. Thank you very much for that. So yeah, so I got a motion to receive from Councillor Flagler, seconded by Councillor Doherty. All in favor? And that's passed. Thank you very much.
Sorry, through you, motion to approve.
Motion to approve. I apologize. Yeah. You'll have to redo that.
Yes.
So
I'll
motion to approve from Councillor Flagler. Motion to approve from Councillor Doherty. And I will start taking my time instead of trying to rush. All in favor? That's passed. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for pointing that out, Bob. Number 3, Bob, once again, possible acquisition of Fire Road 18 for Chatry Road.
Yes, through you, Deputy Mayor Webb, this report provides options for the township to assume Fire Road 18, also known as Fish Hatchery Road. The Manager of Public Works and myself did meet with the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry as well as Infrastructure Ontario. And they have laid out a process for the township to assume that road. And as noted in the report, the process will allow for the township, it's approximately $15,000 for the township to obtain this road at market value. And as they noted, a discounted market value. The ministry will look after the survey and the Indigenous consultation involved, and also the circulation that is involved. That process will take 6 months to 1 year to complete. And sorry, through you, Deputy Mayor Webb, I did receive an email on Friday that the price was actually misquoted to us. Originally was $14,850, is now $14,860, an increase of $10.
Hopefully that won't break the deal.
No, indeed.
Okay. So welcome up to council. Thank you very much for the report, Bob. Council members, well, 3 are kind of new, but this has been hanging around for quite some time around this council. We have Mr. Carroll here with us today. He's been dealing with this issue for quite some time on behalf of his constituents out on Fish Hatchery Road. We have a recommendation here. Not a lot of money to acquire it, a fair bit of money to upgrade this road. And we must realize as well, we will be taking this on, so we'll be fixing it from this day forward if we take it on. That being said, I think it's something we've kind of working with this group. We've kind of made a commitment to them in a way. I'm still kind of perturbed that we haven't got any money. I was speaking with the CEO yesterday and the mayor about this, so that the MNRF has given us no money towards this at all, seeing it's their road. Every other instance, well, the instance we're in here now with Burnt Dam, we're taking on Burnt Dam Bridge from the county, where the county fixed it, brought it up to a standard. To me, the MNRF should be doing the same with this road. We haven't had any luck moving forward with that. Talking with the mayor and the CAO, hopefully we can have discussions. If we go down this road, we can still kind of, I guess, pester the MNRF to see if we can get some money in terms of fixing this road up. The one question I do have, Pete, we have a number of different estimates here on, you know what, I guess the first one we got was, trying to look at the dates here, lost it anyways. The one was around 800,000. And then the second one was So there it is. So 2016, 884, 250 from Engage, and then we got another report in 2017 of 607,000. And our budget last year, we allocated 150 towards it, pre-planning in terms of getting it. But do we have a scope or grasp in terms of, like, you know, is the 607 right? Is the 800 right? Is it going to be less, more? Like, do you can you provide any guidance on that to us?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, last year when staff presented to, for budget, we started, I believe, my memory serves me correct, in the 900,000 range. And council decided to start at 150 for some consulting fees and admin fees and use for, but not really into like a construction phase. My suggestion is those prices are quite dated. I think my suggestion would be is to reach out and get some updated pricing on what it actually would cost in today's environment for and everyone knows COVID has been pretty bad on pricing, so we could be way under or it could be way over, but I would suggest getting some updated prices.
So you're telling me that the 607 or the 884 might be too low?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, yeah,
okay, that's scary. I was hoping it'd be a lot less, but I get your point in terms of the prices. So
yeah, through you also, Deputy Mayor, I might add too, if we do go that route, get some costing on it, we could also have the consultant doing the estimation, get a daily annual daily traffic count on it to see what class the road is going to be at, and that would that might make a difference too on it. I would suggest probably maybe class 5, like one higher than our limited maintenance, so it'd get year-round maintained, snow plowing on a regular basis and grading and so forth. But that might be something that we use what's budgeted right now to do, get some cost estimates on it, and consult to do a traffic count and see what class of road it's going to fall under.
that's a cost we're gonna have to keep in mind moving forward too, though, right? As I said, if it's a class 5 or something, that comes right into our road agreement, so we're plowing, we're doing stuff like that. So as I said, not just the money to bring it up to standard, we're gonna have to kind of add that into our future budgets, right? So anyways, we have a report here, a recommendation in terms of, sorry, go back up. Councilor Doherty, do you have something?
If I may just ask a question here. We're going to buy the road as is for $14,000. Is that right? That's what we're doing. That's the M&R's proposal.
Yes, through you, Deputy Mayor Webb, to Councilor Doherty, that is correct. That is the proposal.
So we're going to buy a road that's not up to standard for 14,000, and then we're going to bring it up to standard.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, yes.
And that's a 66-foot road
allowance.
Councilor Clement?
Sorry, through you, Deputy Mayor. So, okay, total length of this road, please?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, so to the bridge, as I understand in conversations, it's 2.5 kilometers approximately.
If we buy it as is, can we just, I'm assuming it's gravel,
Yes,
can we grade it for the time being?
yes.
Would that bring it? There's no residential people on this road, is there? Like,
Yes,
there is? Oh, there is, is there?
I believe 60.
Was
But 60.
Oh, really? Okay. I haven't been out there near. I don't.
More that use the road, but I mean along this stretch, I believe there's somewhere else. Is that correct, Mr. Carroll? Okay. So yeah, there is quite a few affected there.
That's okay. I haven't been out there near.
And once again, this has been something like, we're going on 10 years, Mr. Carroll, or maybe more.
25.
Okay, well, so I haven't been here that long. So I was unaware, but yeah.
So this road doesn't, sorry, it stops at the dam. And is it, like, looking at the map, is it sitting right sort of on the edge of Hastings County too? Like, are we sharing this with anyone or is it just us?
No, that's us, yeah.
Okay, all right, no, fine. Thank you.
Councilor Doherty.
How much is beyond the bridge?
Deputy Mayor,
Estimate, approximate.
Kilometer, not even.
Kilometer, no, like 250 yards.
So,
maybe.
yeah.
Up a couple of hills to the parking lot.
You get the old fish hatchery there, kind of, and then up the hill and the dirt turns to the parking lot. Councilor Doherty, go ahead.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, I'd make a motion to receive the report and with the request from the Peter to get up-to-date quotes on bringing the road to standard before we buy it, because we're going to spend $1.4 million to bring the road up to date, and that's the tip of the iceberg, because now we take it on for snow plowing, grading, and you can see it coming in the rear, not in the rear view mirror, through the front one. Is we'll be looking after the bridge here in just a matter of time, and the other 250 meters beyond that. So it's not a one-off. It is today, but and this is not our road. This is M&R's road.
That's so you're gonna make a motion that we defer this?
Yeah.
And have Pete investigate the actual cost to bring it up to.
Well, I think we should know what the costs are for us to do it, because the $14,000 is really kind of, it's not relevant.
In terms of this the standard, I'm not a roads guy, Pete, so like, is there a standard that we need to bring it up to? Like you referenced level 5 or something like that, like class 5. But I mean, is that up to us to set the standard, or is it based on, do you know what I'm saying to you? So if we wanted to have it at a lower class, so we didn't have to do maybe as much, can we do that, or is it set by the province in terms of?
So that through you, Deputy Mayor, would be through an engineering firm, consultant firm that does same idea as our roads need study. So they go through and then they class all our roads, and which council approves. So the class goes on traffic counts and speed as well. So but we're taking a recommendation from an engineering firm to class the road as a 5 or a limited maintenance. It may come back as a limited maintenance, which like it would be Tongamong or Sandy Lake. So
okay, and yeah, I guess until we get that cost, you know, it's hard to make a firm decision here. We are trying to keep this moving forward. As a part of that motion, Councillor Doherty, could we have possibly, I know we just asked in the last one, we're putting you under some heat here before Christmas, but is it possible we could get that number either before or right after Christmas, once again, for budget? Like, this is probably something that's going to be referred to budget or.
For you, Deputy Mayor, I can reach out to some consultant engineer firms and see how quick we can have it back.
Okay, so as a part of your motion, Councillor Doherty, would you be willing to put that in there and that we get Pete to investigate that? First of all, I think the big thing would be what class of road. So we're gonna receive the motion and then have him obviously investigate the cost to bring it up, but to me, you're not gonna know the cost until we kind of know what level of road it would be, right, Pete?
Yes.
So, I mean, we can guess, but if we say it's one and then the engineering company comes in and says it's another, we're gonna have 2 different prices. So until we get the road class, I think it's hard for us to get a price. Go ahead.
That's really, that's good, but do all roads not have to be brought up to a certain standard, whether it's 1 to 5?
Yeah, there's actually 6. So Deputy Mayor, yeah. So like Sandy Lake, Tongamong, Bowen, they're a limited maintenance road. So there's not enough traffic on those roads. So they are to a standard, but a much lower standard.
But nothing, it's always 66 feet, right?
Road allowance width.
Oh. Travis, no, okay.
May I add?
Go ahead, Mr. Carroll.
It's currently on a 40-foot right of way. And it was agreed upon years ago that the municipality would work within the 40-foot right of way. So there was no need for the 66. This is why the cost of the from the engineering company, the first one, was so high because they were factoring in 66-foot road allowance, which would mean land acquisition along the route, because there's properties on one side and the hydro to deal with and everything else. And frost-free fences, 4-foot frost-free fences all the way in on both sides, which is really kind of ridiculous. And so, I mean, and any of my research on the municipal standard, there is no actual standard. It's really what the municipality will is comfortable with, I guess. So, and then the second one, report that was done, eliminated a lot of those issues that weren't really relevant to what was going on.
Okay.
And which is why it dropped almost $200,000.
Yep. Yep. No, and I remember the discussions, having discussions with the mayor about that in terms of, maybe there didn't need to be as much work done there. And I think he had discussions with Daryl Drain where he had an even lower number. I won't throw that number out there, but
yeah,
he thought that possibly they could do it for a lower number. So Councillor Doherty, did you have something to add to that?
When was this agreement that you mentioned that the council made to accept the 40 bylaw or something you can refer to us?
Just through discussion, it'll be all on record. It's with the at one point, the MNRF, when they were being asked if they would bring it up to improve the quality of it, they didn't want to go to the 66 feet. They said if the municipality can work within the 40-foot width, then they would be there right away. They were okay with that. Now, it may have gone back as far as Mayor Ron Giroux, to where they said, oh yeah, we can work within that 40-foot. And then discussions and meetings and everything's gone on from that. That's from October 2015.
Okay.
Now,
anyways,
so we always worked on the premise that that it's the 40-foot right of way, which is what the township is assuming. Like the road's about 22 feet and almost all the way into where it's going to end at the bridge. And then the 10 feet on either side of the road.
You have something to add to that, Peter?
Through you, Mayor, Deputy Mayor. No, I was understanding that we were going for 66 feet with the survey. So
okay,
that was my understanding. So I was
okay. Well, I think we've got a few issues here.
Yeah,
I'm suggesting. So you just want to make a motion to receive? So okay, so we make the motion to receive for Pete investigated. Possibly Pete maybe get together with Mr. Carroll so we can figure out the 66-40 thing.
Sure.
Going ahead, because if we could do it at 40, obviously to me that would be ideal, but if we can't, we need 66. But I mean, that's going to be a big deal in terms of the price and what kind of price you get to bring back to us as well, right? On how wide that road needs to be. So let's work on 40. And as I said, hopefully if we could get that number sometime around Christmas, before Christmas or after Christmas for the budget process, so we could work this into the budget to get that, I know it might be hard to get these numbers sometimes, but if we could get that, that would be fantastic. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Councilor Doherty, did you want to move that motion?
I thought I did.
Okay, yep. Do I have a seconder for the motion? Councilor Flagler, all in favor? That's passed. And we're at 11:05. We've got a delegation coming at 11:15 and everybody's ready for a break, I believe. So get a motion.
Reporter. We can finish one.
If that well, I think, yeah, he's gonna be right. So I know, but you want to get it done, don't you? Of course. I got a motion to adjourn for 10 minutes. Councilor Doherty, Councilor Flagler, all in favor? Thank you. We'll return at 11:17. Not to be in person.
Approximately.
Yes. Now we're back. So we skipped over delegations earlier in the meeting because we were moving fast and our delegation had not arrived yet. So here finally we have Richard Segenga, partner with Baker Tilly Canada, our auditor. Motion to resume. Or make a motion to resume. Councilor Doherty, Councilor Clement, all in favor? And that's passed. Thank you. And as I was saying earlier, we have our auditor, Richard Segenga from Baker Tilly here to give us our presentation on our consolidated financial statements for 2022, I believe. So, Richard,
all right.
Thank you for being here today.
All right. Good. Sorry, I guess good morning. Thank you to be here. All right, and yeah, it's second time this year being here, so I think that's a nice reflection of things being caught up in your finance department. So we envision that will continue. So then, of course, as part of the audit, we do the detailed financial statements that are prepared on a PSAB basis, and those are the documents that are in the agenda that do say draft on them. But what I will be going through is this presentation that gives a summary of those documents. So of course, PSAP financial statements are fairly complex and hard for even accountants to read. So please feel free if you have any questions to ask, and hopefully this presentation will summarize that and maybe make a few things a little clearer. And I've provided. We're at the end.
So Richard, would you like council members to ask questions as we go through, or wait till the end?
Perhaps maybe wait till the end, just ideally, maybe some of the questions will get answered as I meander on through. So yes, yeah. All right, so as part of the draft audited financial statements is our draft auditor's report, which is a 2-page document, which provided just the opinion paragraph here that in our opinion, the accompanying consolidated financial statements present fairly in all material respects the financial position of the Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen at December 31st, 2022, and the result of its operations and its cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with Canadian public sector accounting standards. So that is your clean, unqualified auditor's report. Keep in mind when it does say consolidated, it does include the operations of both the library board and the cemetery boards. And as well too, it says Canadian public sector accounting standards, are more commonly known as PSAB, which is different than how you budget. So I'll try to highlight some of those items going through. And then as well too, on the second page of the auditor's report, although not presented here, of course, we do an audit to gain a reasonable assurance. We're not absolute assurance, so we don't look at every transaction. We do gather our evidence based on testing and statistical sampling. And then as well too, that ties into how we do our audit procedures and do our substantive testing, gathering evidence to back up the numbers that are presented here. As well too, we take a look at council minutes, and then as well, we take a look at your flow of information and systems and documentation, and do and your related controls along the way, looking at revenues, the money coming in, and then of course how the money goes out, being your regular vendor payments and payroll and levy payments, and then how things get adjusted by the journal entries. Overall, the audit's complete pending council approval of the financial statements, receipt of the representation letters, and receipt of the legal letters. And then as well too, there were no significant difficulties encountered during the course of our audit, and no changes from our initial audit plan or disagreements with management, and excellent cooperation from management and staff. And then as well, as auditors, of course, we do keep a scorecard of any differences we might come along with, and earlier I said within material amounts, so we do utilize materiality, and that is done to maybe gauge how much work and the extent of audit testing, as well as summarizing any differences we may have. So that's when we come here to the uncorrected misstatements. So overall, it was determined that the fuel inventory in 2021 was actually overstated by about 36,000. So that's been adjusted this year. So it's been corrected in 2022. And then there were 3 items related to payables that are being worked on and will be rectified in the 2023 year that totaled $26,000 that we didn't adjust for. So the 36,000 was adjusted and corrected, and the 26,000 will be adjusted and corrected in the 2023 year. And that's just relating to the payroll accrual and some amounts owing to the county and schools that will be addressed. So I wasn't sure. So just to make you aware, the 36,000 is recorded in these statements, and the 26 net will be recorded in the 2023 statements. Okay, all right. And then as well too is part of our reporting letter process, which those 2 pages were a summary of. As I said, no difficulties encountered during the audit. So then as well too, moving forward now, we'll take a look at your financial assets. So these then represent your assets that you own and hold that ideally are cash or will be turned into cash, which is why it's differentiated as a financial asset. So overall there you can see that your financial assets in your areas of cash had increased by about $1.3 million. And as well too, your investments also grew by growth of about $325,000. Your cash balances increased due to the fact that your reserves also increased. Some of your capital spending didn't occur as anticipated within the budget, which meant you had some monies to set aside at the end of the year into your investments. Overall, your reserves were up about $2.6 million, but your cash and investments were only up about 1.6, and that's because the other levels of government in your accounts receivable owed you more money at the end of the year for grants, and that's really as a result of amounts owing to you for the splash pad, the work done on Matheson Park, as well as the storm cleanup, and as well with the HST. All those items add up to a total of receivables of about $800,000, and that's the majority of the increase for those projects that you had spent, but the government other levels of government hadn't paid you by the end of the year. Your taxes receivable, a little over 700,000, up from the prior year, but still on a percentage basis of your total levy, you're at 4.8%. Ministry of Municipal Affairs says anything below 10% is in a low risk range, so you're doing fine there. Your percentage is good, so ideally just keeping up with that moving forward. Then you're at a nice percentage now, so ideally it'd be nice to stay there, because of course you pay the county and the school boards their payments, whether you collect the money from the ratepayer or not. So every quarter you pay the county and the school boards, and then it's your responsibility to collect from the ratepayer all shares of the taxes. And then as well, finally, your loans receivable, the loan from Peterborough Housing Corporation was repaid to you for the project that they had going on. And then when we turn to the next page, on your financial liabilities, you will see the loan that you took out and had provided to Peterborough Housing for the construction of the housing complex. Both the asset and the asset and the payable for the $5.1 million were both cleared up in 2022. So that's you don't have that obligation anymore, or that receivable. Your payables were down mainly due to some amounts owing to the county at the end of 2021 that were not there at the end of 2022. Your deferred revenue obligatory reserve fund. So this represents your what used to be called your Canada Community Building Fund, or used to be called the gas tax, and your parkland levies. That's the cash you've received, but you haven't spent yet in accordance with the guidelines. So instead of it being set aside as a surplus, it gets set aside as an obligatory reserve fund. And then as well, you have a bit of other deferred revenue. You utilized your funding for COVID recovery, and which brought that balance down. And then as well, you have the estimated cost for future landfill closure liabilities and post-closure liabilities, so that amount decreased slightly year over year. And then moving forward in 2023, that will be combined within the new asset retirement obligation section, which incorporates all these items. You have to report differently for 2023 and moving forward. Keep in mind the asset landfill post-closure liability is just an estimate of the future monitoring costs for your landfill sites as to ideally get them to a closure point. So, but yeah, that's based on discounted future cash flows there. So that does get impacted by both interest rates and discount factors. So next is the bar chart showing your financial liabilities, and I did skip over the one for financial assets, but it does show the same things that were presented in the slide. Next, we take a look at your non-financial assets. So these are the net amount after we take away your financial assets less your liabilities. You can see there your net financial assets increased to $18.8 million, and then you have your non-financial assets, which are items you don't normally try to turn into cash, being your tangible capital assets, being all your assets that are recorded, land, building, roads. All those type of things, and that's presented there as a net book value, and then you had some prepaid expenses, so then when all is totaled up, you had an accumulated surplus of $48.7 million. Next page gives you a brief description of your consolidated statement of operations, and you can see there within the budget column, presented on a PSAB basis, you are generating about a $4 million surplus based on the budget. Of course, as you know, for your tax rate budget, you're not supposed to budget for a surplus or a deficit. So the items below there, under the reconciliation, are the differences between how you would report internally or for setting your tax rate, and how they get presented for public sector accounting standard purposes. And in your municipality, it's since you don't have any debt, a little more straightforward. Amortization and purchase of capital assets are the two main things as well. Under PSAB, they do consider your reserve and your reserve funds to be part of your total equity, whereas when you do your budget, you treat them as a separate fund. So that's why your transfers to and from reserve funds are shown there as a reconciling item. Then you can see there that in the other actual years, the amounts with those adjustments do come to zero, as any amounts for the township that do remain at the end of the year are transferred to reserves. And next we take a look at your graph there showing your surplus compared to your tangible capital assets. And here it's just the one thing to note here, and as you always have been in the last 5 years, you want the orange bar to be higher than the blue bar. So you have more equity than just what's tied up in your land, buildings, and roads and things such as that. Next, you will see the PSAB 5-year summary of the revenues, expenses, and accumulated surplus. And the gray bar will vary depending on how much capital funding you have each year, and how much, and of course that will vary. So don't be surprised if you come to a year where you have a lot of amortization, but very few capital grants, that the gray bar will dip below the line. So it could average out over the years, but you've remained positive in the last 5 years. Next, we come to a breakdown of the revenues as presented in the detailed financial statements, draft financial statements. Overall, you can see there that you're expecting to have about $14 million in budgeted revenue. You came in about $2 million less, and that's all mainly related to the status of capital projects and the expectation of both the capital costs and then the related revenue you would bring into that. Just give me a second here. I forgot to highlight. On this slide, you can see there that the purchase of tangible capital assets, kind of in the middle of the page, was $6 million, but you'd only incurred $1.7 million. So therefore, when we move along to this slide, your capital was under budget, which means you didn't spend on the capital projects, and you'd projected to use revenues both within the province and the Government of Canada lines for grants for capital projects. So since your capital spending was down, therefore your grant revenue was down too. So you can see there, property taxation is your largest share of your revenue. User charges, a little over $1 million of that is related to water and sewer charges. Also within there is building permits, waste fees, and as well the aggregate grants for that you receive from the provincial aggregate company there. And as well, you do have a fair bit of revenue, investments as a result of the increase in both some of the markets and as well the increase in your interest rates. You can see there that your investment income was significantly higher than budget, so it's always a good sign to see. And as well, utilize some of your parkland fees for for Patterson Park. And one of the other main things, driver of one of your revenues is, of course, the sale of the medical center resulted in a large gain. And that's presented there as the final line of your revenues. See there the pie chart of that. And then we see where the money went. Overall, your expenses were coming in below budget, and there were some additional costs in general government for some contracts for some staffing gaps. But still, when you take a look at protection, which includes fire, police, contributions to the conservation authorities, and building and bylaw and protective inspection and control, they were down. Fire was the main area that was down. Transportation services was nice to see that even with the rising costs of fuel and things such as that during 2022, that you were still within budget there. Environmental services includes the operations of water and wastewater, as well as landfill and recycling. And overall, the major variance there was some of your water costs were below budget. Health services include your cemetery and your medical center. And within the cemetery, there were some additional costs for storm cleanup, so that caused their costs to be a little higher. Recreation and cultural services includes parks, arena, and as well too operations of the library board, slightly under budget there. And planning and development, both economic development and the CIP were down below budget, causing some underspending there, as well as some actual planning costs, salaries and wages and stuff were lower than budget, so causing the variance there, leaving you with $9.8 million in expenses. Next, we have the pie chart of that. And you can see there both they're fairly on your larger ones between protection and transportation services are very close there. And then, of course, with the operations of water and wastewater, the yellow pie is a little larger than you might see in some others. Next, we take a look at your expenses presented in a different format. So overall, you can see there the one thing you didn't budget for, which was also a bit of a flow through, the interest charges, and that just related to the $5.1 million loan with Peterborough Housing. You received the money, and then you also paid interest on that loan, so that's what that represents. But you did recover that from Peterborough Housing. Your salaries and wages were under budget, as mentioned earlier, related to the planning area departments. And taking a look at contracted services, of course, the largest one within there is your OPP contract, and your external transfers. The majority of that, about $288,000, relates to contributions to the local conservation authorities, and of course, we had about $1.7 million in amortization within the total. And then you can see here, taking a look at the pie chart, as like most municipalities, you provide services, and they're mainly done with staff and employees. So that's why the part of the pie is larger, and that is common with most area municipalities. And next we come to slide 19, which gives you a breakdown of your accumulated surplus, which is the most important slide within the deck. As I said earlier, you had about $48.8 million in accumulated surplus, but a lot of that is tied up in your tangible capital assets. So therefore, that surplus has been set aside so that you do not, in essence, spend the equity in your capital, which of course you will have to make up later on. So that's why that's been segregated out. Your unfunded landfill closure and post-closure liability under setting your tax rates, you don't fund that until you spend those amounts, and you have those included within your annual budget already. So the amount will just naturally continue to go down on a regular basis. And then you can see that the cemetery board, their surplus did decline. And as mentioned earlier, you did have some additional costs related to storm creating the in-year loss for the cemetery board. But really for you as the municipal council, it's the next section. So it's your reserve and your reserve funds that you have set aside that you can utilize now for both I suspect mainly for capital operations so that you can start completing items within your capital forecast and your asset management plan to keep those going. One thing to keep in mind, the water and sewer, of course, that is an area rated service, so therefore that money set aside from amounts that were raised by those ratepayers, so that about 3 million of your 19 million in reserves is earmarked for that user group, whereas all the rest then are available to council to utilize moving forward. So take a look at your reserves, your future plans, as well too, the ability to use your Canadian Community Building Fund or the gas tax and your parkland fees and available grants to see then the best way to utilize that, improve your capital, upgrade your capital, refresh. Of course, those things are all going up as we know with inflation these days. And the one thing to keep in mind too, you might say, well, if you take a look, our net book value of our assets is $29.8 million and average life 15. So we're doing okay. I guess the one thing to always keep in mind is that the top number is purely based on historical cost. It doesn't give you any correlation to what it will cost you to replace an asset. So keep that in mind when you look at these items. Next, we take a look at a summary of your reserves over the last 5 years, and you have been able to build those up. So too, when looking at this year's budget with the anticipation of spending some capital dollars so that you're able to complete your capital projects with keeping a nice consistent tax rate without having to have spikes in the valleys within the tax rates. So next we see where you've spent your $1.7 million in capital additions. Overall roads and bridges, there were two larger projects that were completed this year, Round Lake Road as well as the Old Norwood Road. So that's about almost 600,000 of that total. Land improvements relate to the works done at both Matheson Park and Patterson Park. Equipment being the largest one, and that's about $500,000 spent on the splash pad as well as trucks and a generator and HVAC and some work done at the scale. And as well too, buildings just relate to some work you did both at on the structure and the roof of the building within the municipality. And then we will see here your assets and your additions and amortization. Amortization's been fairly constant. You had some larger projects guide from 2018 and 2019, and then this year they kind of amortization almost equaled the additions. And we have a summary of your average net book value. You can see there, you do have a fair bit of green, so that's a good sign, but still you still need to be following your asset management plan, so you are replacing things when they are needed to be done, so that you don't get too far behind in your capital projects. Finally, you'll see your net financial asset 5-year trend. And you do remain in the black. I guess if you did go negative, this graph does flip you into the red. So this is just a reflection though of your financial assets less your financial liabilities, and not surprisingly, that number is fairly close to your $19 million in reserves. So that's the majority of your net financial assets remain, so that you're now structured to have those amounts so that you can utilize moving forward to do projects that's needed within the municipality. So.
All done?
Yes, finally I'm done. Any questions?
Oh, that's pretty quick, actually. Thank you for that, Richard. A lot of information there, a lot to take in. Probably read it for a month and not take it all in, but It's all there. It's a couple of years ago. So for our new council members, gives you a look into what's going on here in the past. Before I open up to council, just a couple of questions myself, Richard. Page 5, financial assets. We've gone from 2391 in 2018 to 9656 in 2022. What's what's the impetus behind that $7 million increase? Like, is that grant money that's being or saved up or what?
I think when we take a look at how your reserves have grown as well over as well, you can see the growth in the various reserves too over those 5 years on the slide. The two items do tie together so that as fortunately you're able to increase your reserves and you're able then to have them and set aside in a bank account so that since your receivables are low, yeah, it's just the increase in reserves over the years.
Thank you for that. The other question was page 15, financial activities, expenses. Plan, just what encapsulates planning and development? Like what would fall under that heading?
Okay, so that would be just your
our planning department or
planning department, economic development, your community improvement plan, all that type of stuff from the FIR perspective. It's into the definition of that line item.
Okay, I'm just concerned because we're more than double, almost triple that, but I mean, some of those things are for the betterment in terms of moving the community forward, right? So I mean, but I have to get her.
So the budget was around 380,000 and the actual cost came in at 223,000. So
okay. Thank you for that. And that's all I have. So yeah, I'll just open up to any members of council have any comments or questions for Richard while he's here. Councilor Doherty.
Yeah, maybe if I can, you don't have to bear with me because I went over this fast as everybody else. Just on page 4, you mentioned about the overstated 36,000. How does something like that happen? Is that just a mistake? An invoice didn't get in the wrong area? But that's not a full tank of gas. No, it might be today, but
I hope not. But yeah, and I suspect too, with just some vacancies within the position, I don't know this for sure, but I suspect nobody was aware to gather that information at the end of December 31st, 2021, to figure out how much fuel you had left in your tanks.
and this doesn't seem to be peculiar at all. It's kind of something that happens.
And as well, so therefore, this year, it was monitored and identified and calculated by your treasurer this year as to what it should be. So that has been rectified, yes.
And sorry, on the same page, the understated 26,000, is that a one item or is that
it's 3 items, amounts due and from the county and the school board to that to about 10,000. Payroll accruals were 16,000 or something. Yeah. Thank you.
I just have to catch you. Sorry, hold the group.
Hold on, just hold on there, Councilor Doherty. I think Councilor Clement's ready.
Go ahead.
Okay, on slide 13, 2 questions. So other municipalities revenues, what do we get from other municipalities?
In your municipality, that would relate to fire agreements with your neighboring municipalities.
Okay. And parkland fees earned?
Yeah, so that's you have your parkland fund that's set up under the Recreational Planning Act.
Okay.
So whenever there's a severance, people contribute money.
That's right.
It sits in there until you use it within accordance with the act that, and this year you used it for if I remember correctly, at least Patterson Park.
Okay. One other question, page slide 17, under rents and financial. What exactly are rents and financial?
Those would be a lot of those times if you have equipment leases for rentals of office equipment or things such as bank charges and fees such as that flowing through. Yeah.
Perfect, thank you.
But Councilor Gordy, do you have something?
Yeah, I'll get to it here. I guess it's really relevant to the financial statement. I guess it's 389.
Would you be able to tell me just what the page number is?
Yeah.
389. Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
I don't have the whole agenda. Yeah. All right. Good.
It alludes to there in the revenue that we have actually got $979,000 worth of investment income, but we budgeted for 72. I'm just curious as to how would we be out about $400,000 on that? Is that?
I don't know how you formulated the budget, but I can, and when we look at this page, both penalties and interest and investment income are combined on this slide. So if you're wondering where it is on the slide, it's those two items added together. But yeah, investment income historically is budgeted low, so that by almost all municipalities, so that you don't want to be left short there. So therefore, and as well too, I'm not sure how your budget was arrived at and the time frame on that. Maybe Lionel.
I don't go ahead. Lionel, go ahead. What page are you on?
389 on mine, 2 on Richards.
Like the 389 of 636. That's where you're.
Yeah. Yes.
Right. Okay.
And then
Lionel, go ahead.
Future, a large part of that is interest income that is reinvested in one fund. So it's not like the interest income that we get on our holdings, our cash holdings, where it goes into our bank. It's monies that are reinvested, so it's not available for operations. So it has to be recognized as income, but it's still held in the investments and not available to spend on the required expenses for the year. So it's just a way of budgeting for what we have that we can actually spend on what we need to service the municipality. But it has to be recognized according to PSAP rules.
That amounted to about $327,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see missing by this much, but that's this much. Anyway, that's fine. Thank you. And then on page 395 of agenda, and it would be your page 8.
Yes.
I'm just curious as to what kind of fee we paid Scotia One for the corporate bond portfolio when we actually lost $500,000.
Sure, I have to get the fees.
You looked at him pretty quick, Richard.
I don't, because I think the fees are presented net within the statements. So I don't know. I don't know that number off the top of my head.
Yes. Future, the fees are presented net, and I know during the last budget session, I did ask for what the fees are. I believe those are market value numbers. So as my father always said, you haven't lost anything until you sell it. But yeah, market has been having a rough ride lately. So I know for the fixed income, we made quite a bit of money, over 100,000. So yeah, I'd imagine midway through this year, that would have been a great looking number, but at that point, not so much.
Who manages?
So we haven't lost anything. That's just as I read this, the market
manages the fund.
Is it Scotia One?
It's the one fund, which is was it that or I think CIBC manages it for the consortium of municipalities. So
yeah. Well, it's a little peculiar that we're limited as to who we can invest with, and these are supposed to be very secured investments.
Lionel, go ahead.
I think I don't know how many years ago this was, Richard, but I remember when there was a loosening of what municipalities can invest in. And because municipalities wanted to have some exposure to equities, but they are still limited to what I think the legislation says is safe. Nothing speculative. So because we are able to invest in something beyond bonds and money markets, yes, there is going to be market values going up and down, but none of those losses or gains for that matter are crystallized until they're sold. And we didn't sell anything last year or in 2022. So it's a theoretical loss. So
further question. So moving forward, like if we get more money, does the money just get dumped into this one fund? And if so, do we ever reallocate money out of the fund? So say if we have $5 million in there and this isn't going to be a good year, maybe we pull 2 or 3 million out and put it into a money market or something. Like how often is money moved around in our investments?
They move it around. I believe there were 16,000 trades in 2021 or 2022. So they are working at it for a lot of municipalities every second of every day. So we don't normally put anything in because I think there was I don't know how many years ago it was, we didn't have enough cash on hand and we had to take money out of an investment. So it's a balance of keeping things liquid and giving one money to make more than what we're making on it being in our bank account. So yeah, it's investments. So as far as market values, every year it's probably not going to be a positive return, but I know based on their expertise and making sure that we adhere to the legislation for what municipalities can invest in, it's a body that a great deal of municipalities, I can't speak to how many, but I think quite a few, the majority would invest in one fund because it gives them a little bit of exposure to growth. At the same time, they're making sure that we adhere to legislation.
No, and I understand, like, you know, it's like every other kind of mutual fund, isn't it? The traders are doing the trading for you. But in terms of, I say our flexibility, as I said, like maybe one funds haven't been getting the returns they have, or maybe we get a forecast that maybe the one funds is, you know what I mean? That we want to move it into a money market or some other place. Do we do that? Or because it seems to me like we're just we got 2 or 3 funds and whatever, we divide them into 2 or 3 piles and they just go into these. And yeah, we get the returns on them, right? But maybe we could be a little more active in terms of watching our investments and seeing what actual returns we're getting on them. Especially in the environment.
Money market, sorry, we do have money market funds as well. We have equity and money market.
Okay.
And so, yeah, and that's why I've started at council's request to bring in the quarterly reports for that as well. I also look at how the return benchmarks against all the major stock indices. And so far, since I've been here, they've outperformed on every single quarter. So I think they've been doing a good job.
No, and I know you're new to this, like these are policies that we've practiced in the past before you were here. And all I'm getting at is, you know, getting on your experience. And I got Richard here as well. To me, it's always nice to have other options and not be locked into things, right? So, and I'm just, you know, throwing it out there to you guys, as I said, maybe we could should we be more flexible with maybe moving this? Obviously, I don't want to start moving it around every week or every day to be a day trader, right, with the township's money. But at the same time, maybe once a year we review this, right, or have a look at it and say, hey, you know, do we want to move money? And maybe most times we won't, but just to review it and see what's going on, right? I think would be best practice. Richard, you?
And of course, they do it based on the direction you give them, right? And the mix you want. Yeah, so I mean, you should would be prudent to look at that every so often. So yeah. But
so could we do that every year when you come?
Well, I would think you'd want to deal with your advisor and see their projections. Good, yes.
Lionel will take care of us. He's done well since he's been here, so we're in good hands.
But I would like to point out one thing though, when you're looking at whatever page yours 3, 6, yeah, I mean your market value is still higher than your cost value, right? So it's Your market value.
In which category are you talking?
Well, when you look at both of them together, right? It's $10 million in market value versus $9.2 million in costs, so. Right on that note there.
Yeah, I think he was just referring to the yearly return on these areas.
Yeah.
Like the
Well,
one.
it's
But to Lionel's point, that's happened depending on where you are. Things are still going up in other markets too, right? That's all I'm getting at is that maybe if we move this, that you could get probably not a bad time to start getting into the bond market. I don't think so.
No, but I was just gonna lead into that then saying though, currently your accounting standards say they get reported on a cost basis, so your financial statements show the $9.2 million for 2023. They've switched the standard so that you'll be reporting on the market value basis, so that actually
when it's not realized.
Correct. There'll also be a new schedule, a new statement of unrealized gains and losses. Yes, so it gets a little cloudier, but that's what the standard setters have determined. So next year, if it would being presented, you would see the $10.1 million on your financial assets, not your 9.2, which is showing now. So.
And this comes from municipal accounting. Where did that?
It comes from the Public Sector Accounting Board of Canada.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Also,
I have one more question. On page 399 of our schedule, but I think it's on page 12.
Okay. Yep.
Is there any objections to changing the names on these two accounts? Because we operate under surplus and then we have reserve and reserve funds. Lionel gets tired of me talking about this. And it doesn't really outline properly for the viewing public is how much of this 17 million has been spent. It's been allocated but not spent. And that's a very significant part because it appears like we have $17 million just kicking around and, cash, we can just go buy anything. And it's not really, we've spent part of this money already.
You may have committed it, but you haven't spent.
Okay, committed is,
Okay.
it's the same thing. Hey, can you commit $1 million 6 times so it just comes into the million, or is it 6 million?
From an accounting perspective, though, these present what's actually happened and been transacted. So,
Completed documents.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, so yeah.
Okay, that's it. Yeah, I'm good.
Councilor Doherty, it's an accounting thing. I don't get it either, but that's why they do it. So.
Well, it's.
Thank you, Richard. Sorry, any other further comments or questions for Richard? No, not seeing any. Thank you very much for the presentation, Richard. Always a pleasure to have you here to explain this fun stuff. Everybody likes numbers, right? So. Lionel.
There's very few people that like that.
Anyway, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And yeah, we'll bring you back here when we do the other thing through the reserve thing.
All right.
Get an email about that. So if I could just get a motion to receive the delegation here, moved by Councillor Flagler, seconded by Councillor Doherty. All in favor? And that's passed. Thank you very much for that. You want to get Richard?
There'll be a few documents requiring signature, and that they've just been kind of summarized in the first 2 pages of the report. So I will provide those to your treasurer.
Great. Thank you very much for that. With that, we'll move back into where we were in the meeting, which I believe is staff reports for follow-up action number 4. Our CEO Bob with agreement with circular materials.
Thanks, Richard. See you later.
Thanks, bud.
Yes, through you, Deputy Mayor Webb, this report presents the agreement with circular materials. Earlier this year, council received a presentation from the County of Peterborough, which outlined the province's new legislation moving toward producer responsibility for recycling. And this report presents the agreement as presented. This agreement would be in effect beginning January 1st. And it is a 2-year agreement. So we get to do this again in a couple of years.
Thank you for that, Bob. This is something I think we've discussed at least once, if not twice, before here at council. But an issue that's I think still quite fluid in terms of where, whether it be the municipalities or definitely the provincial government, are going with their actual policy on this. But moving forward, I think, as I said, the agreement we have here is probably the best of what we're going to get until we get to 2026 or whenever it is when we get to this next phase of it. So I'll open up to council. Any comments or questions on the report? Is somebody willing to make a motion on the report? Councillor Clement, go ahead.
Hold on, Councillor Doherty has something.
Oh, Councillor Doherty, go ahead.
A question through you, Deputy Mayor, to Peter. If we elect in the next 2 years to change our hours at any one of our sites, that won't affect this agreement in any way?
For you, Deputy Mayor, I would want to clarify that in the agreement, but I believe that is still our option to change our hours. We just have to notify if I remember correctly.
Yes, through you, Deputy Mayor Webb, to Councillor Doherty. That is correct. We still control the hours of operation at our transfer station, and we control the day-to-day functioning of the transfer station. This agreement reimburses us for some of that activity in order to get the recycling back to the depot in Peterborough.
Which brings us to the through you.
Yeah, go ahead, Councillor Doherty.
Is they're going to sort when they get this in the SEM is going to sort the stuff when they get the recycling, right?
For you, Deputy Mayor. Yeah, it's going to the same facility, recycling facility, so it's going to be handled in the same manner on Heido Road.
But they are not accepting the same things now to December 31st that they are going to be accepting on January 1st.
I think Bob's got a comment on that.
No, through you, Deputy Mayor Webb, to Councillor Doherty, the listing of recyclable materials accepted in our township will not change. In 2 years, throughout the entire province, there will be a uniform listing of all recyclables accepted, and it will be the same in every municipality. Right now, it is not the same in every municipality. However, with this agreement, it will not change for HBM.
So, well, we're going to continue to put aluminum cans in the recycling, and they're going to throw them out and take it off of our total. No.
No, through you, Deputy Mayor Webb, to Councillor Doherty. No, that's not correct. They will continue to receive aluminum cans. Currently, we have a 2-stream recycling process. So we have a paper stream and a non-paper stream with cans and bottles, etc. That will continue unchanged.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions on the report? I'd be willing to make a motion on the report. Councillor Clement, go ahead.
So I say that we move forward with this, take it for 2-year duration that they've offered us. So I can pass them into acceptance.
Okay, so that is the, sorry, so, oh, my father. So the recommendation is
They accept the agreement for the next 2 years.
Yep. So it'll be January 2024 to January 2026, right, Bob? Right. Do we have a mover for that? Councillor Clement, do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Flagler. Comments or questions on the motion? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Is there going to be any changes in pickup dates, times? Like are we picking up garbage still every week, and just not sure.
Through you, Mayor, Deputy Mayor Webb, Councillor Flagler, this agreement does not affect garbage pickup. That's a separate item. There will be no change to recycling pickup There will be no change. The public will not see any different to what's happening. This is all background material. There should be no change to anything that the public is seeing at the time.
Thank you.
Okay, so no further comments or questions. I'll call the question. All in favor of the motion? And that's passed. Okay, so that ends staff reports for follow-up action. Move right into correspondence, action items. First up, we have letter from Dan Lyon, Director of Operations at Covia. The request for support in addressing the current condition of Uniman Road. We've had discussions about this. It's probably something that will be discussed once again once we begin our budget discussions. Bob or Pete, do you have anything to add here to go ahead in terms of how we might proceed?
I'll let our roads expert speak to it. Through you, Deputy Mayor. Yes, I did get a copy of the letter, and it is coming back this year in budget. Last year in 2023, we allocated $200,000 in the 2023 budget to start doing some consulting and getting some costs and exploring the condition of our assets currently, examples, culverts and such on Uniman Road. So this year we do have it coming back in budget with an estimate from consulting engineers.
Okay, so in terms of this, have we contacted Uniman in terms of finding out where they are on this? Do they have any contributions to make to this, or?
No, through you, Deputy Mayor. No, we have not yet. Staff will be proceeding to make a contact. I know there was interest in some cost sharing. I think it was maybe some lane width widening up at the gate, so there's no traffic jams per se. So, but we will reach out.
Okay, yeah. It's just from my point of view, as I said, this is obviously something that we'll be talking about in budget. Thinking perhaps if we reached out to Uniman to find out, let them know that this is something we will be discussing during the budget in terms of fixing the road or possibly fixing the road. And see if there's anything that they have to offer to the project in terms of helping us out. How does that sound to everybody? Okay, so Councillor Doherty.
Through you, the bridge or the culvert that's there now, is it okay for the long haul? Or is it going to have to be, or is that going to become part of the proposal here?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, I have a consulting engineer right now, actually, and I don't have those results in front of me, but I do have the results from that culvert, so I can share those with the council.
But did it not come up last year that we're going to run into a tones, I guess now, tone problem there? But is that another project or is that the one?
No, through you, Deputy Mayor, that's on Uniman Road. It is a multi-plate culvert. I believe it's an 8-foot culvert. It was installed in 2009, but I just don't have the
It'll come back as part of the report.
I will share that with council. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that, Pete. So I suggested a motion. Does somebody want to move that motion in terms of reaching out to Uniman and to making them aware that this is something we're going to be looking at and see if possibly, as I said, they could see if they can offer any assistance at all to us in this project. So moved by Councillor Flagler, second by Councillor Doherty. All in favor? And that's passed. Thank you for that. Number 2, Jack Lake Municipal Boundary Adjustment Committee, re-proposal for investigating municipal boundary adjustment affecting Jack's Lake. I'll just speak to this quickly. It's something we looked at a number of years ago. One thing I'm concerned about is I know Mayor Martin is mentioned in this letter. So I don't really feel comfortable discussing or moving on this without him being here. So I would just maybe look for a motion that we could defer this and have a discussion about this at the time, sometime when the mayor is actually. So moved by Councillor Flagler, second by Councillor Clement. Any comments or questions about that? Okay, all in favor? That's passed. Number 3, we have Gord Bertrand, several concerns. believe they're mostly situated around Van Sickle Road, were they not, Bob? In terms of the condition.
Yes, through you, Deputy Mayor Webb,
Fine.
items 1 and 2, condition of Van Sickle Road, item 2, the three-way intersection at Cordova Road, Van Sickle Road and County Road 48.
Okay. Once again, probably an item we'll be talking about at budget or at some point. I don't know if we had any discussions with this group, Bob, besides this letter. This is the first we've kind of.
No, through you, Deputy Mayor, no, we've not had any discussion.
Thank you for coming over, Pete, because I'm gonna call on you there in a second. Pete, is this on our road need study, or if so, where notes is it?
Yes, through you, Deputy Mayor, just a little brief history. I did meet with the county and Marmon Lake at this intersection, I believe it was in 2021. And the county, they did provide some sightline clearing and some cautionary yellow signage for the intersection, as it was brought up at that time that was a bad intersection. So the county has addressed it, and they feel that they have done that. I had talked to Marmon Lake just previous for budget purposes for getting Van Sickle Road, the surface street part, the hard top part in for budget for 2025.
For the year after this, okay.
Yes.
So we have contacted Marmor, because I was gonna suggest that's something that we do in terms of.
Yes, through you, Deputy Mayor. Yes, we have contacted myself and the road super for Marmon Lake have been speaking, and we have some budget numbers that we're going to present in 2024. But as our agreement states, our boundary act agreement states, that has to be made aware for council 2 years in advance. So.
And the bridge is being done by the county this year, I believe, is it not? So I think the year up to 2024, it'll be done. So there will be some work done there, but yeah, it would be nice to have that lined up so it coincides with the bridge getting fixed, right? So if we could get on this and somehow get it for 2025, I think that would be a good plan. Now, that being said, it is a boundary road that we cost share with Marmor and Lake, right? So, and I know that dealing with the bridge issue through the county, they're might be a little bit financially strapped down there. That's why I'd like to maybe reach out to them and give them a heads up, because I think they had trouble rounding up the money to do that bridge. So I don't want, as I said, if we're going to go ahead in 2025, I'd like to have them on board as well, right? So.
Yeah, so through you, Deputy Mayor, as well as that intersection with the concern here, we can contact Peterborough County as well when we are in construction there, or prior to construction, for if there's anything we can do on our end for the design of that intersection. But the county has addressed it. I believe it was 2021.
Okay, thank you for that, Pete. Jerry, go ahead. Or sorry, Councilor Doherty, go ahead.
Not all of Van Sickle Road is covered by the mutual agreement, or is it? Everything from County Road 46 right straight through is all under the mutual?
Right to Devil's 4 Mile, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, well, through you, Deputy Mayor. Yeah, so right from County Road 48 in Cordova, right to, I believe it's a turnaround. It goes past, it goes around the lake, it goes, and then it turns into gravel, and it carries on past the 4 mile. I don't know if it'd be half a kilometer, but there is our township turnaround down there. I believe it's Staples Farms on the left. Barn there, right before it turns into the trail.
Yep.
Yeah. It's fully maintained right to the turnaround.
Okay, where does Van Sickle Road start when you go back 46?
It's actually Van Sickle Trail that starts off of County Road 46.
Is that under the agreement, or is that under our? So we can go back turning 46 and going east. That's not Marmor, that's HBM.
That's correct. That's Van Sickle Trail, and the other side coming off 48 is Van Sickle Road.
The minute, or as I said, I was gonna say the minute it hits Devil's 4 Mile, but you said it continues, but basically at Devil's 4 Mile, that's the end of our agreement with them, right, Pete? Or a little bit past that, as you said, the turnaround.
That's correct.
Just the point I'm getting, we don't need to wait for 2-year notice on part of it. We could do 46 into where we are if we got the trail part as opposed to the road.
We're not doing that part. The trail's not a part of it, Councilor Doherty. It's just, it would be from end of 48 on the other side of Cordova. To, as he said, probably a little bit past the entrance to the Devil's 4 Mile back here.
I understand that, but can no part of Van Sickle Trailer Road be done by HBM prior to 2 years' notice? That's the question, I guess, the name.
Go through you, Deputy Mayor. So Van Sickle Trail that comes off County Road 46
Yeah.
is completely HBM.
Okay,
So
so that road's in good shape then.
It's gravel. Yep, we grade
just
it,
did that
maintain
one.
it, plow it on a regular basis.
We are just talking about Van Sickle Road. Okay, good, thank you, that's all I want.
Okay, so I guess you have direction. Do we need a motion there for direction in terms of Pete? He's already been getting in touch with Marmara, so I mean, we're kind of, and as I said, we're gonna refer this to budget, so is that good enough? We just, or do I need a motion?
We'll take the motion to
Okay,
formalize.
somebody wanna make a motion that you said I get, Pete's already been in contact, maybe stay in touch with Marmara in terms of getting the costing on this, and we'll refer this to budget. If we can deal with it there, Councilor Gordon.
And is anybody going to get back to Mr. Bertrand or?
No, and thank you very much. As a part of that, could we get a letter back to Mr. Bertrand in terms of saying that we're looking at these issues? With them, as soon as possible. And probably hopefully through the budget process. Councillor Flagler, go ahead.
Just one question for you. What's the noise at the trailer park? That's off at 57, so.
That's
When is there a trailer park down there?
yeah, there's a trailer park right next to where the road cuts almost right next to the lake.
Yeah.
Right there, just up there in the hill. So, and I've been aware of that I've been receiving comments about that trailer park for probably the better part of 2 or 3 years. There was instance before we had the trailer park bylaw and actually had numbers for the amount of trailers we have at each of the parks.
Okay.
There was always a discrepancy about whether, I think if there's 15 spots there, that somebody would say there's 18 trailers.
Right.
That has since, I think, mostly been rectified, but I think there are still few weekends or whatever when things pop up, right? So, but yeah, that's been an ongoing issue for a few years now.
And one more thing, the condition of Van Sickle Road, we don't plow that, do we? Or is that Marmara?
Through you, Deputy Mayor. So we just recently I believe it was last year, within the last 2 years, we just renewed our agreement with Marmara Lake. So we do the summer maintenance and Marmara Lake does the winter maintenance on Van Sickle Road.
Correct. All right, thank you.
Thank you for that. Okay, so did we move that motion?
No, we have not moved the motion, and through you, Deputy Mayor, I'm just wondering if there's any more comments on item 3 and 4 in the letter. Noise and sanitation regarding the trailer park.
Not for myself, as I said, I'm familiar with the issues that are out there, and I think that's something that we could have bylaw maybe look into, because I'm pretty sure Mike's been out there once or twice before, so.
That's why Travis.
I'm sorry, yeah.
I apologize, Travis, but yeah.
No, exactly that, we will follow up on any complaint we receive with respect to noise or sanitation aspect. It has to do with the sewage systems, that's Peterborough Public Health until November of 2024.
As I said, I don't know, because I'm not familiar with Mr. Bertrand's comment. Most of the comments I got were more about the numbers of trailers. Like I think, as I said, on long weekends or whatever, they're putting extra trailers in there, but I think that's since been rectified somewhat. So thank you for that. Councilor Doherty, go ahead.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, maybe to Travis. We got this new bylaw where the number of units you can have in a trailer park. Is there an overall trailer license that has to be obtained first?
Go ahead. Through you, Deputy Mayor, yes, so each year, each trailer park gets their trailer park license. And then the new trailer park bylaw says they have to pay so much per site as well. This year, they didn't have to pay that amount per site, it was only for the trailer park. Coming in 2024, they will have to pay in the addition of $10 per site, and Mike does an inspection per month.
Go ahead, follow up. Well, so if there's if we're getting repeated calls on it, what's our leverage?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, the Deputy Mayor, if the complaints are with respect to noise, we have the option of a park fence in the noise bylaw. So I take it. Fine.
So does the park owner have any obligation or rules to follow in order to keep his license? I guess is what I'm getting at, is like we draw him in to be part of the accountability.
Any discussions would involve the park owner for that type of stuff for sure.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. So. Do we have a motion for that?
We do not have a mover and seconder.
Okay,
I'll move.
and you know what we're moving there in terms of. Pete. Farmer.
Through you, Deputy Mayor Webb, the
Yeah,
motion would be to coordinate with Marmer and Lake, have our manager of public works coordinate with respect to Van Sickle Road and have our bylaw enforcement to follow up regarding the trailer park issue.
Okay, that's moved by Councillor Flagler,
Yep.
seconded,
Are we supposed to have a letter in there too to Mr.?
yes, a letter to Mr.
Yes,
Bertrand,
and,
sorry.
and yes, and respond to Mr. Bertrand.
Okay, seconded by Councillor Clement.
Question, are we gonna put some parameters on when this has to take place? With this year or early part next year?
Well, I already kind of
Okay,
addressed that, I think with Pete earlier, in that we were gonna try and have this information ready for
Right.
budget, so
Thank
late
you.
December, early January at the latest, so if it's possible. Okay, so I'll call the question, all in favor? And that's passed, thank you. Last on our action items is a letter from Debbie Otley requesting or amending her usage to municipal town hall. So, any comments, someone want to make a motion in terms of that? Councilor Doherty?
is the motion, is the request gone through to Josh? He's the one that books it.
Through you, Deputy Mayor Webb, if council approves the motion, it would absolutely be forwarded to our supervisor of Parks Recreation.
I'd like to move the motion.
Okay, moved by Councillor Flagler. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Clement. Comments or questions? All in favor? That passed. Okay, so we'll move into no correspondence action. That's it for correspondence. Okay, I apologize. We'll move into council activity report. Everybody's listed there. Comments or questions? Everybody's busy last month, it looks like. That Councilor Doherty.
Yeah. I just got my sloop cleaned for the bus going over me, so not to worry.
You look fabulous. Councillor Flagler, go ahead.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, this is where I would answer what has happened at the OTA or second.
That's coming up in other business.
Okay.
I
thank you.
apologize because I'm over the after today as well, so that's why you're confused.
Mhm. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So through you, to clarify on that, this is about the minutes of your meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, anything there? If not, I can just get a motion to move
All the minutes.
all the minutes.
Yep.
Blah, blah, blah. Councillor Doherty. Councillor Clement, all in favor?
I don't have to declare conflict.
And that's passed. And we will move into. Sorry, written order.
You know, Pat.
I don't have a county report because we had our meeting, our meeting's tomorrow. We didn't have a meeting last week, so I mean, I haven't had a county meeting since I reported last time here, so. I apologize, and yeah, there's nothing exciting.
If you could give us the Dave Smith update.
We let Marm a whole bunch of money, that's what it is, so. But I think we went over that last time.
Funny, we got to do a 2.5% increase in taxes and we're loaning another money.
Yeah, but
Turn
we
the
get
straw
back
around
more-
again, I guess, eh?
What we get back is more than 2.5, so it's not that bad. Usually. Okay, sorry.
So, business.
Yes. So, sorry, written oral notice of motion, we have none, so we'll move on from that. So sorry, other business, and we have report there or something? Councillor Flagler, in terms of the EOTA trail and the flooding at the fourth line.
Yes, for you. Next thing, Mayor Martin again, Deputy Mayor. The EOTA has since the photographs that everybody has seen, they have went back there, they have dug out the culvert. So now the water is now being redirected. There is still water on the trail, but it's much better than what it was. She did state at the meeting that they are looking to contact the Conservation Authority. And they need to get 25 loads of gravel back there in order to fix it. Now, the time frame, I did ask them, they didn't give me a time frame on it. But now I'm not sure if the Snowmobile Club is gonna be okay with getting through there or not. I haven't contacted them. But I will continue to bring this up with the EOTA.
It's great. And who would be hauling the gravel? Is that Crow Valley or who? You're
No
contracting somebody?
idea, I guess they've contracted, I guess so.
So we don't have to pay for it, do we?
Never said nothing about us. They've never contacted or asked me. There was one thing that they did ask me was there is someone living in a trailer on County Route 50. Which the gentleman that brought it up, Bob has informed me that they need to do a written report. I did send that off to them and never heard anything. They haven't replied, so.
Thank you for that. Yeah, but the bylaw is well aware of the trailer in the parking lot at 50, so it's been there for quite some time.
Yeah.
But thank you for that. Sounds good. Sounds like they're gonna get it cleaned up and hopefully, as you said, they'll have it ready for the snowmobilers, I guess.
I hope so.
Right?
Yeah, I'm hoping that way.
Thank you very much for the report. Any comments or questions or anything else to add in other business? Hearing none. Fantastic. Move on to bylaws. 5 bylaws. Just go one by one here. The first bylaws, Tucker. I'll have to say zoning bylaw amendment. Zoning bylaw amendment number 1. Tucker. I get somebody to move. Bev, Councillor Flagler, Councillor Doherty, all in favor? Passed. Thank you. So zoning bylaw number 2, Barrington. Councillor Doherty, Councillor Flagler, all in favor? Passed. Thank you. Bylaw number 3, stop up and closed, blah, blah, blah. Road allowances, lots 30 and 31, concession 8. Councillor Doherty, Councillor Clement, all in favor? Thank you. And number 4, to establish dates and starting times for regular council meetings 2024. Councillor Flagler, Councillor Clement, all in favor? You. And bylaw to authorize the mayor clerk to enter into a depot operations agreement with Circular Materials and the Township of HBM for the collection of blue box materials. Councillor Clement and Councillor Flagler, and all in favor? That's passed. Thank you very much. And I guess we will just adjourn until closed. And whenever Mayor Martin's gonna be here, so. We're looking at obviously lunch, but, oh, sorry. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Or no, a motion
recess.
Reset.
Right on time.
Yeah, right on time.
So yeah, motion to reset. Councillor Clement, Councillor Doherty, all in favor? Thank you very much.
What time you want to?
Appreciate you. Come back whenever.
Okay, motion to resume meeting, moved by Councillor Doherty, seconded by Councillor Clement, all in favor. And that's carried. Thank you, everybody, for this morning. So now a motion to go into close.
Yes, sir.
All right, then, motion to go into closed session under section 239(2)(b) of the Municipal Act for personal matters about an identifiable individual, section 239(2)(c) of the Municipal Act for proposed pending acquisition disposition of land by the municipality or board, and section 239(2)(e) of the Municipal Act for litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals. So motion to remain closed, moved by Councillor Clement, seconded by Councillor Flagler. All in favor? And okay, so we are in open. Is there any motions to come out of? Okay, so right now, looking for the confirming bylaw. Confirming bylaw for today's proceedings, moved by Deputy Mayor Webb, seconded by Councillor Clement. All in favor? And that's carried. There's a motion to adjourn. Deputy Mayor Webb. Councillor Flagler. All in favor? Carried. Thank you.